All right. Gonna get this started. This is one game, 7 days. This is a podcast about video games specific. We have 1 week to play a game that none of us have ever played, or maybe one of us has ever played, but is new to most of us. The idea is that we don't talk about it or discuss it and play as much as we can in a week while we do the rest of our real life stuff. And say nothing about it to each other. All get together and talk about it at the same time. And we felt our best bet would be 999 or the Nonary games. It's a DS game that was later put on to like the PS4 and maybe the Vita or vice versa. And what they are is it's like a puzzle game, but the big thing is that the decisions you make matter. There's like six or nine different endings for 999, which is nine persons, hours, nine doors, I think. And the decisions you make are really important. There's a lot of bad endings. There's only one good ending, one true ending. So this does contain spoilers. We will talk about plot decisions. We will talk about, we will talk about plots. We'll talk about endings because I'm pretty sure we all got different endings. Not for sure, but let's start with a little bit of an introduction. I'm Vaughn from New Jersey. Pretty
I'm
simple.
Andrew. I'm from South Carolina.
I'm Dalton. I'm also from South Carolina.
I'm Alfredo, and I'm from Massachusetts.
Okay, and if this is a little spotty, this is the first time any of us have done anything like this, so bear with us. But so we've all written down our decisions and thoughts about the game. So we'll start with a little bit of plot info. So, you play as a character named Junpei. Not 100% sure the pronunciation, but he
I think it's Jumpy.
I think so, because the nickname.
Yeah.
So you start off, you wake up in a ship, and you fall off of a bunk bed, and you have no idea where you are. You're looking around trying to figure out where you are, and you cannot. All you know is that you're in like a cabin room. You're with two bunk beds, and the game starts you out with a puzzle. You have to solve said puzzle involving keys and key cards to get out of the room and basically not drown. And I know that Alfredo had a little bit of trouble
Man.
with
Oh,
said
man.
puzzle.
I think
But
it's
45
fair enough to
minutes.
say that we all had some trouble with that puzzle. Alfredo just had a little bit more trouble than we.
I mean,
Alfredo had.
To be fair, the numbers were just not clear. It was not vibing with me whatsoever.
So 999, it rides off of this idea. It keeps popping up. It's called the digital route. So what the digital route is you take four numbers. You take 7, 3, 4, and 1. So 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 1, plus 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 4 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So then you have 15, then you add those two together, 1 plus 5. So the digital root of 7 plus 3 plus 4 plus 1 is 6. Because
Basically, you
1
take
plus 5, yeah.
You take a big number and make it one number by adding them repeatedly.
Yep, you condense it till it's a single digit.
I had to learn
And
that the hard way. Much farther into the game. Much farther.
the entire game revolves around this. Everything is digital root based and everything goes back to the number 9. So, following the puzzle, you're greeted with a huge collection of text. You're greeted with it is technically a visual novel game, so it does drag on a little bit. I felt that I got to a point where after you meet the other people, the other 8 people, so there's 9 people total on a ship. The Nonary game is where it comes in. That's what it's called. You have to find the 9th door. There are numbered doors, and there are 9 of them. And you have to get through the 9th door. That's how you survive. But there's a catch. the only way you can enter said door is by you and everybody else who's a numbered person. Your character Jumpy is 5. So there's 1 through 9, and then you're 5. No more than 5 people, but no less than 3 can go through, and your digital roots all have to equal 9. So if your digital root isn't 9, no, wait, that's not right.
The digital root has to be the number that's on the door.
Yeah.
So if it's like the number 4 on the door, whatever the digital root you have of whoever's number that you have, it has to add up to that door. If it doesn't add up to that door won't open.
And then you can't get through it. And then so your numbers have to equal the digital root. It has to be 3 to 5 people. And then once you enter, everybody has to participate. If somebody doesn't participate, they don't get to exit the door. So the doors are controlled by things called reds and deads. So you have a bracelet. It's like a watch. It tells you your number. And you have to scan it on the red, which opens the door. After opening the door, you have to find the dead and scan yourself on it, because otherwise there's a bomb implanted in you and you'll blow up. You have 81 seconds to find the dead, because they're not right outside of the door. They're usually down later in the hallway or in the whatever the door opens up to. You have to scan and check it in, or you die, you blow up. So
Very, very gross stuff.
it's very plot heavy. The story's very odd at first, considering the introduction involves somebody going into a room without the other people there, and he blows up. And it's very graphic. It's very honestly very entertaining, because the guy
Pretty much introduces the
And also fuck
concept.
that guy.
yeah, the guy, he was
honestly.
number 9, he sucked. And he died. So
Yeah, he
was cool.
didn't follow the rules of the game, so he got murked, and yeah, he did.
was pretty
Very
awesome.
dead.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome. It was definitely very awesome. But yeah, it was just pretty interesting to see how that mechanic kind of works in this game, where it's 81 seconds for those characters to live, and it's always a sense of urgency that you have to do in that game. You mainly watch that through cutscenes. It's not really like a thing where
Yeah.
you yourself search for the dead in the other room. You just go through cutscenes. You kind of watch these characters flip their shit and kind of try and find the dead and all that. Number 9 did not find it. He kind of fucked up.
well, he was dead anyway, because he didn't
He
he
went
never
alone.
he was the only person in there. He the other 2
Yeah.
people that he scanned, Ace and Clover, he left outside. So after the door closes after 9 seconds automatically. You have 81 seconds to find the dead. If you don't find the dead, you blow up. And the 9th man learned the hard way, but he also taught 1 through 8 what can happen.
Yep, that it's a serious game.
Also,
very
keep in mind that
serious
we've only played through the game once. We haven't gone through all the different endings, and none of us got the true ending, because I don't think that's possible. Your
So
first
hopefully at
So,
one point we can do a separate episode talking about how we revisit it and all of us figure out all the endings, and we can maybe correct some of the things that we have to say now. But like
m-
Andrew said, we've only played through it once.
Yeah.
Maybe after we figure out what the fuck we're doing this podcasting anyway, because I don't think any of us have any clue what we're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely no clue.
So the other 8 characters are numbered 1 through 8. After the 9th man dies, so 1 is Ace, 2 is
Snake.
2 is Snake, 3 is Santa, because San in Japanese is 3. 4 is What's her
June.
actual name?
June.
Her name's
like
Clover.
no.
Alkane, I think.
Clover.
Arcane?
4 is Clover.
Oh yeah.
5 is yourself, Junpei. 6 is June.
AKA Alkane, I think it's her real name.
Her name's like Akane, something like that.
Like that.
Akane.
And then
Yeah.
7 is 7.
Very creative.
Yeah. Good job, buddy.
I liked Mountain better. I thought
Yeah.
that was his nickname earlier in there.
Yeah.
And then 8 is Lotus. I don't remember the reasoning for that one, but all of them are based around their respective numbers.
Because there were 8
It's 'cause-
leaves on
yeah.
a lotus.
Everybody
Flower.
knows that.
Well, I don't.
Or at least that's what she said.
Yeah,
Well,
that is what she said.
I'll take her word for it, I guess. So the prerequisite, these all aren't random people. So June, or Akane or whatever her name is, was a close friend of the main protagonist in like their early years when they were in like school, like grade school. There's connections with like quite a few of the characters. Snake and Clover are siblings. Other stuff wasn't disclosed in my respective playthrough. It may have been in theirs, but so it very quickly puts you into where you have to make decisions. And you're faced with the first decision, the first decision that matters. We can start there. So you have to choose which door you're going through. One door, it's door 5, contains the remains of the 9th man, and then door 4 contains nothing. You don't know what's behind it. So we have to choose
Basically, at this point, we just chose like this is
Yeah.
at the very beginning of the game.
This is where we break apart. It's not the beginning. You're already like an hour in with all the
Dialogue.
context and stuff. Or 2 hours if you're Alfredo and couldn't figure out the first
Man,
puzzle.
let me live, man. Let me
Also,
live.
wasn't that's like it's technically like the third choice, but the first one that actually
Yeah, so I
affects
have
anything that we know of.
written down which were the
Yeah.
important ones.
Yeah.
So I, in my playthrough, made 13, 26. I made 31 different choices. I got an ending that cut the game short. Not as short as Andrew, but I got an ending that cut the game short. So, but you make a lot of decisions,
Are
but
you
only some of
serious?
them really matter.
I got 20 choices.
I got
Guess it really was
33.
short.
I got 33.
I did not keep count of every single choice I made. Like these.
Oh, I have
Oh,
my
man.
numbered, so I just counted.
No
them.
wonder mine
God.
lasted like 5 hours less.
So, starting the first choice that matters is whether or not you go through door 4 or door 5.
Well, first
Door-
of all, who did y'all choose to go with you?
oh yeah. Well, no, that doesn't really matter.
I mean,
It kind of affects.
Yeah, I
No,
think
it
it
doesn't
does.
because I did more than one playthrough. I started a second playthrough. I haven't gotten past the first decision. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
we
It's
can
a
still talk about it.
well, okay. So there's a clear like suggestion at romance between June and Junpei. I'm gonna say Junpei. Can we agree on that?
Yeah,
Let's just say
Yeah.
Jumpy because
Yeah,
that's
Jumpy.
June's nickname
Yeah.
for
That's-
I think
Jumpy.
Jumpy works out.
So Jumpy has a there's like this kind of preset hint at romance between Jumpy and June, and I play into that shit, so I love it. So
Mhm.
I picked for Jumpy you choose to go look at the remains. Who's gonna open the door? Your digital root has to equal 5. I picked to go with Santa and June because I was trying to play into the June thing.
That's
'cause-
also what I picked.
I hated that idea. I thought she was annoying right off the get, and I'm not all into that stuff. Like when she
Wow.
falls off the steps and like is on top of you and stuff. Like
Perfect
I
anime
don't know
intro,
about that.
bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying in my notes. I said like it's way too cliche for
It
me.
annoyed you?
Anyways, so I chose Snake and 7 to go with me because I thought Snake was
that's
pretty cool.
interesting.
Snake is
And-
blind. He can't even see it.
I know, but he's awesome, dude. He
He's
so
like,
gets me.
dang.
He's my
What is
rival.
this?
Blind dude over romance is what I'm understanding.
And 7. He's a mountain of a man. Although he's pretty sketchy.
He's a mountain
but
of
yeah.
a man.
Shut up.
I chose Santa in June.
Okay,
Ah.
so
Yeah,
the
I
three of
get
us
it.
picked the
Defeated
right
me that.
ones, and one
However,
of us was
I-
an idiot.
Dude, Snake
I-
is sick. So shut up.
I don't think it makes a difference though.
Yeah.
So
Well,
anyway,
see, hold on. Actually, something interesting with me. Whenever I chose that, they put me with the exact opposite people that I chose, and I had to like go against my like. I was supposed to
it
go through
backfired.
door 4, and I just said no. I want to go through 5 actually, and then it worked out so that I got them to both go with me.
so
That was kind of
following the revelation about the ninth man's fate, you're greeted by the person putting this on. He goes by Zero. He's the one who I guess set up the ship, owns the ship, whatever. You don't learn anything about him. He just explains the rules, which we've already briefly touched on. But it's you have to go through the numbered doors and escape your way out of rooms, and you have to find the ninth door to escape. Only between 3 and 5 people can go through numbered doors, and then you have to hit the dead afterwards. But he doesn't include that. So it explains that Snake had an extra card in Braille because Snake was blind. Zero said because he couldn't see, he wanted to give him extra information. And Zero's how they understand the reds, the deads, and then I think, not for sure, but I think that Zero told the ninth man that he could go through the dead or through the red to escape, but lied to him and didn't tell him about the dead or anything, and that's why the ninth man blew up as like a throwaway person to explain it to the
Yeah.
other people.
I think
He
I agree
wanted
with
to
that.
explain by example. Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that.
And Ninth Man was kind of implied to be a really kind of like deranged, kind of like
yeah,
Yeah.
a
psychopath.
wild
So-
card of a character.
And the way that they like threw him in there, because in the beginning of the game, they're all trying to figure out what's going on, and like this is even after Zero has explained everything to them, and they're all giving each other nicknames and trying to figure out who is who, what the connection is. The entire time that they're doing this, the ninth man never contributes to any part of any conversation.
And he somehow
he-
starts out with a knife.
Yeah,
that
he
come
somehow
from?
got a knife, and he demands to take the two people. I want to say it was Clover and
Ace.
Ace.
Well, he took Clover hostage with the knife and demanded that Ace scan his in so that they could make a digital route of 5.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And it's just I honestly I didn't see him dying as early as he did, but I definitely saw him as being one of the earlier like first deaths just because of him not contributing to any conversation, not trying to figure out anything, not trying to figure out why they're there or anything. He was there from one moment, he disappeared, I kind of forgot about him for a while, and then that whole thing happened, and that's whenever I remembered he actually existed.
He was also incredibly skittish. The way he was acting
Yes.
made it clear that he wasn't
Stable.
yeah, he was
absolutely.
a disaster. So anyway, following that, you make your first decision after you check out the ninth man, after you find out the details with the red and the dead. You have to decide: are you going through door 5 or door 4? So, if you go through door 4, you go with Santa, June, and Lotus, and if you go through door 5, you go through Snake and 7.
Who'd you go with, Alfredo?
I went with Snake and 7, so
Okay.
I went through door 5.
So maybe it is set.
The Ninth Man
It is.
door.
Yeah.
The bodied door.
He got bodied.
So, and then Andrew, you did the same, didn't you?
Yes, I went through 5 with Ace and 7, or Snake and 7.
And Ace goes with the other team
Yeah.
that you didn't choose. I went through door 4 again. I was trying to play into that June relationship thing. That was a very big part of my playthrough. I wanted to see it happen. I wanted to see it through.
And I was avoiding her the entire time.
And I don't know.
I can
I'm not
confirm.
sure what Dalton picked. I think Dalton picked 4 as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he
Yeah.
picked 4.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
And I think he
I
just
think
died.
Dalton
I'm
might
not
have
sure
went
where
through
he
door
went.
5, and I think Dalton.
I think
probably
Dalton
blew
went.
up.
Did you die?
Oh my god, my mic got muted for some reason.
Oh,
No. I went through door 4. I was also trying to play into the Jumpy and June
Dude,
sort of romance thing.
it was fun.
right there. It was right there from the beginning, and like I was in it from the beginning. I was like, they're finally reconnecting after years apart, because it
Meant to
said that
be.
they were together in like elementary school, right?
Well, they were like super close friends.
Yeah, so I was definitely into the thought of that. So that was the biggest reason I chose to go through door 4.
With the way that it was introduced, with June falling on him and shit. Oh,
Yeah,
dude, it
it
was
was-
perfect.
It was definitely.
I couldn't not play into it.
Yeah, it was
Exactly.
definitely that classic anime storyline.
Yeah.
where it's
It was
like-
awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
See, I thought it was kind of forced from the beginning because they didn't know each other for what, like 10 years at least.
They just hadn't seen each other. They knew each other. They still had fucking nicknames.
Yeah, but I mean, and
Yeah,
then she
I didn't
comes out
wanna
of
play into
nowhere.
that.
She's just like, yo. Yeah, I
At
agree.
all. I just wanted to see
So
what was
wait.
behind door 5 because my morbid curiosity was like, yo,
Yeah, me too. I thought I was
How-
gonna learn
I was
something.
like, how bodied is this dude? I
But
thought it was
moving-
important to the plot. Like,
Moving
really,
to the
I
next
thought.
Yeah.
part.
can
I
see
thought that like you kind of had to go through door 5 because it was like he's trying to make you see like some real
Yeah.
shit. Like he wants you to see this body behind door 5, which, by the way, is probably the most graphic detailing I've
Dude,
ever
the thing
seen
is
in a
you-
DS game.
For,
You don't even see it. You just
Yeah,
see
you-
blood all over
You
the
just
wall.
see blood on the wall, but the amount of text that accompanies that, it's ridiculous. It's really graphic.
that
really-
definitely
I
makes
think we
me kind of excited to play through it again, so I
Yeah.
can read that dialogue, because as we said, me and Vaughn went through door 4, so we didn't get to read any of that
Yeah,
dialogue.
it's so gross.
I
It's-
in the beginning of my second playthrough, I did go. I stopped right after like choosing the first door. The text is good. It is
Okay.
it is
It's,
crazy.
yeah,
But
it's-
so I guess Dalton and I can start talking about door 4, and then you guys can talk about what happens after door 5.
Sure.
All right.
So following entering door 4, you rush to find the dead. You have no idea where it is. After everybody scans in, you go back, and there's just a long corridor of doors. None of said doors open until you get to the end. There's a center door with a recurring theme of planet symbols used as like markers for keys. So like a door with a Saturn symbol will take a Saturn key, or a door with a Mercury like key swipe will take a Mercury key card. So you get to the end, and it's very clear you have to find the key. That's the goal. Only the 2 doors to the right and left of the center door to get out open, and they're identical rooms on each side, with puzzles, obviously, because you have to escape the room. And you start on the right, you split apart. You go in with Santa, Lotus, and June. And Santa and Lotus go to the left. You and June go to the right, and you have to search the rooms. You have to find a way out. The puzzle was it was pretty difficult at points. There was a lot of back and forth later in it, because the rooms were identical, but the left room where Santa and Lotus were did not have a light in the back room, so you couldn't see anything. So the room was essentially worthless. But it did have things that the other room didn't.
Okay, and that was the
See,
first room.
Whenever I went into the first room, I completely forgot that we had separated, where one group went into one side and the other group went into the other side. I didn't know the reason it took me a long time on those puzzles right there was because I didn't know you could go in between the different rooms. That was kind of on me.
Well, at first it didn't let you. It would not let me
Yeah.
at first. You had to find like certain details. I don't remember exactly what it was, and I don't really want to go that in depth
Yeah.
because the
Yeah.
puzzle wasn't that hard.
That's what I noticed. It's definitely
was
more
just
focused on the
tedious.
story.
Yeah, no, it was annoying because of the back and forth. It did turn into a lot of back and forth. You have to bring a plate from here over here, bring this shower curtain there, and it was fun. It was fun, but it was annoying.
It definitely was fun. I think that it perfectly explains all the puzzles. They were all fun, but they did get very annoying because
Oh my god!
down
At
to the minute like details. It was
the last one I did, oh my god, it was ridiculous.
I don't remember what the last one I did was.
But yeah, we went through door 5, and it's kind of interesting because we had like a different thing. Like we didn't have doors like that. When I went through door 5, I think it was like you just went in there and it was like a long hallway. It wasn't multiple doors, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think there was just maybe
I think it was just one wooden door.
There was one
remember
on.
right?
Yeah, I think there was
It
just
was like
on
one
the
wooden
left.
door. You go on that door and then you end up in a first class cabin, and you pretty much have to go through all of that, search through all of it. You basically search it with Snake and who else was with us? Snake and
7.
and 7. You have to search that room. You basically have to look for these plates, but they're music notes. If I
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
right.
we had something similar. We had plates that made an abstract image.
Yeah, the
Okay.
plates we had, there was a piano in the room, and you had to find every plate, put them together, and then you had to play a certain song on it because there was a microphone attached to the exit door. Thing was, the piano is like weird. All the keys were
Yeah.
different.
They're all
So
swapped or
you would
something.
hit D on the keyboard and it wouldn't play a D. It would play a different note. So every key on the keyboard was a completely different note. And that was the most annoying thing I have ever done. I literally played every single note one by one and just wrote it down in a notepad what that note was. That was the only way. It was just really annoying otherwise. Because if you messed up that puzzle, you'd start completely over all over again.
I don't know about y'all, but the tune that we played was like the one that it's like some kind of church play. Like whenever you hear church music,
Isn't it
whenever
like the
they-
school bell or some shit
yeah,
like that?
they were saying
Yeah.
school bell, but I
It's
never
like,
heard that at
if
school.
you've ever seen like anime, and you know how in every anime you have that typical
It's like
school bell that
ding,
goes off.
ding, ding,
Yeah,
Yeah.
ding, ding. Yeah.
that was the tune that we had to play on the piano.
Oh, okay.
Was y'all's
yeah.
different?
Yeah, that was
So we didn't have to play music.
Yeah,
What we did
I
was,
remember that.
We had paintings on the wall. So there was this they alluded to it. Apparently, I don't remember the exact details. So I am going to be a little spotty on this. I don't even know how to look it up.
Honestly.
There's this thing called I don't even know. It's like if more people know something, then you're going to be more likely to know it. It's like I don't know. It's like universal knowledge or something.
The way it was described was by Lotus that she had read some book about that some guy had written saying that they did a study, showed people a certain image in like Europe and only showed it to like 100 people, and there were like only like 20% of them, or no, it was like 5% of them. 5% of them actually knew what the image was, but then they waited a couple like months and then did the same exact study in America.
Okay,
and
I got it.
Yeah, whenever they did
It's-
that, it was like it went up drastically, and those people had never even seen the image before.
So a British like scientist named Rupert Sheldrake came up with the theory of morphogenetic resonance, which basically means what Dalton just said. If 5% of people in the world know something, then it's very unlikely that somebody who's never seen it will agree or say the same thing. But if 95% of people know something, then it's going to be that information will be translated onto people who don't know it. So the example is there are two pictures. They showed one was a woman in with an umbrella, and she was walking in the rain, and the other one was of a dog. But the pictures were not good pictures. They were hard to make out what it was, but also like you could make it out. And what the research was a British TV station played it, aired the images, and they had statistics of what people were guessing beforehand, and 9% of people guessed that the woman was a woman, and they only showed this to outside of Great Britain. So there was no way anybody had ever seen this image outside of Great Britain. Before they aired it on TV, 9.6% of people knew it, or something like that. And only 2% of people guessed the dog portrait. However, afterwards, they aired the images on British TV. So about 200,000 people had seen the images. The woman with the umbrella picture, the percentage didn't really change. It went up to like 9.8 or something. But the dog went from like 3.2% and shot up to 7%. That's a double. So that's still not a lot of people, but it technically supported the theory of morphogenetic fields and resonance.
I know that that's an important topic for later in the game.
That's
I never
definitely a
had
mouthful.
anything with it. Yeah.
It comes back up. And then they also talk about wait, no. That's not until later. Never mind.
Okay.
Fawn
Well,
trying to skip
basically,
ahead.
what we learned from our room was that Seven is very sketchy. He's a really sketchy guy.
Mhm.
Like, anytime that we would ask him about his past or anything about how he ended up in this situation, he would say, yeah, I don't know, I have memory loss or something.
Yup,
Yeah, I have memory
yup.
loss.
He was really, really sus the
Yeah.
entire time we were with him in that room.
Yeah,
It was just kind of like,
we didn't really encounter like Seven too much until later in the game, so we didn't know anything about the memory loss
Yeah.
until literally like
The end.
pretty like late game.
Which makes sense because you start over the game with the memories of the last playthrough,
Yeah.
so you have to go back and play through to get the other context. All the
So
characters.
with the discussion of the morphogenetic field, they also talked about the Titanic. There's another running
wow.
theory through the game that it's a mock ship of the Titanic. There's like the Gigantic, and I believe there's another one that are mock ships of the Titanic. But there were images of the Titanic. There was all kinds of stuff alluding to the idea that this was the Titanic.
Who told you that?
Lotus,
know.
Lotus and June talked about it in our room
Yeah.
after we finished
Seven talked about it to us,
puzzle. Santa talked about it, yeah.
and that's when we were like, "Hey, how do you know that?" And he was like, I don't know, just remembered that."
He talked
Yeah.
about it too, actually, in our playthrough. Mine
Yeah.
at least.
No, it was there were like 3 ships. There was the Titanic. There's one which name escapes me that
Yeah, I can-
also sank with the iceberg or something, like hit an iceberg.
That's a
And then the
random third one.
Gigantic, which didn't hit anything, it just ran aground. And the theory was a wealthy Frenchman, I think, ended up buying it because he was one of the very few survivors of the Titanic, and he became obsessed with collecting
Yeah.
Titanic
We
memorabilia.
talk about that later. That comes up later.
Oh,
Like the actual details of it come
Yeah.
up later.
Yeah.
So I guess we can go
You know,
to
room 2. Did you guys have a second room?
We did have a second
did
room.
we?
Yeah, we
Okay,
did.
Yeah.
we'll let you guys go into it.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
it was a casino, if you remember it.
The casino.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
See, I didn't
ended up-
even know there was a casino. So
Okay. I knew that there was a casino, but it came up later game, but it never took me in the casino.
wait,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Same
So
with
we ended up in the casino, and it was basically there was like a bar area. There was a roulette
yeah, you're right.
area. There was that as well. I
Roulette.
think there was a mahjong table.
Yeah, with
think
no
if that-
mahjong things.
Yeah, it's like I don't know what mahjong is. It's in every.
Oh, there was also
anime
this
ever.
like weird game. What was it with the 3 cards?
Mahjong.
Yeah,
It was like a game.
It's
there were-
It's a Chinese
Well, no. I know what that is.
puzzle game. Alfredo doesn't.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Alfredo, you know
That's
that
fair.
game with the stacked tiles and you have to match the tiles to take it off the pile?
Yeah.
That's Mahjong.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
But
there
they
was a
all have
ma-
symbols on them
Yeah.
and numbers.
But there's a mahjong table there, and there's a card. There's 3 slots, 3 empty slots for cards. And then you have to go around the room and find cards all over the room. And then there's a card in a glass pane that was the number 6. And pretty much you have to get the digital root of the cards that you find and get that card 6. And then you get that. And then there's like also like the roulette thing on the other side of the room, which you get a coin bag for. A
slot
lot of
machine,
coins in
that's
that.
it.
Yeah, the slot machine. You get a coin bag for, and you also have to play that. Thing is that the first one and the third one, like, break. So you can't use those. The coin gets stuck in them. You can't use them. You have to use the center one. And the entire time, I got stuck in this room for a while because
Did you?
I thought you had to match it up. Just get, how you play slots. You get
Just
whatever,
luck.
3 of the same things. Just luck. Nope. Not at all.
Yeah.
What you
got s-
basically have
Mm.
to do is that there's this fireplace near like the exit door. And above that, there's these 2 lights, one on the left side, one on the right side, normal looking lights. You press both of them and it puts a light onto this empty frame on the wall. And then once you hit both of those lights, it comes out to a club, a diamond, and a heart. And that's what you have to get on that.
Press them in order.
You got to press it in order.
I got
which-
stuck for like 10 minutes, but got it
Dude,
by luck.
it
And then
was so
later went back and looked at
complicated.
the
for
looked at
no
the
reason.
fireplace.
Yeah, I had
and
no
then
clue.
found out. Yeah.
I had no clue, and then I clicked on it. I was like, "What is this? What is actually going on?" And then you do that, and then you tap the draw on the bottom that slides out with the coins that you would usually win. And then they mentioned the Saturn key earlier. We actually got the Venus key from that slot machine. You get the
Yeah.
Venus key, and you get this card too. And so
Y'all
you
got 2
have.
keys, didn't you?
You guys
Uh,
get 1 key?
We ended up getting a couple of keys.
Yeah,
but
we
in
got
the-
like
Yeah, I
a
thought
bunch.
so.
Yeah.
in that first area after finishing the puzzles for those 2 rooms, we got the key. I don't remember.
We just got the key to go into our next
it
room.
was the Mars
Yeah.
door. We went through
Yeah.
the Mars door.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we got the Venus key, and then we had all the cards there, and then there was this red lock on a door where you had to play cards to add up to the digital root, just like the table. You put the 3 cards that we have, the cards you get from the mahjong table, and the cards you get from the slot machine. You take those, you put them in there, it unlocks the door, and then you get out. Really complicated room. It was fun though. I preferred it to the first room because the first
Yeah.
room with those music notes was not a vibe. Snake was blind; he could not read them. Shout out my man
It's up to
Snake.
you to
I'm
play
sorry,
the
man.
piano.
I definitely thought you were talking about the first room of the entire
Yeah,
game, and I was about to
yeah.
say, I bet you believe or you prefer everything to that.
Oh my
Got
god,
stuck for like
dude!
an
The
hour
first
and a
room in the
half.
entire game, I never want to return to that hellscape ever again. I had the numbers in reverse. It was which
It
really
was so
didn't make
funny.
sense. The rest of the game I was fine. Like the casino was pretty difficult, but I figured it out. The first class cabin, I figured it out, but I don't know what it was about that red suitcase in the first room. It just hit a little bit different. Just a little bit different. But yeah, we finished the casino and you get out of there.
Okay, so that's the end of y'all's second room.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to the hospital place.
All right.
Yeah.
So with my playthrough, I'm guessing Vaughn also had the same thing. After
Same
we
one.
enter the Mars door, we go out into a hallway where we see 2 big, it was like gated off areas where you're only allowed to be in this one hallway. And
Oh,
what's up?
Never mind. Go. Well,
Okay.
there's
We
something
overlap
relevant.
there, technically.
Yeah.
There's something relevant to me from what happened with us. So as we were leaving, 7 was like leaving all the doors open. He was putting like sticks
Mhm.
and books and stuff in the doors to prop him open so that he could come back later.
Yeah, that was really
That's relevant for my ending.
That's weird.
Okay. Well,
So yeah.
I also, one thing that we neglected was while we were searching those rooms, I believe, is whenever we actually got a map of the ship. And using that map of the ship, that was where the story was able to tell you, okay, you got to go through this room, which ended up being the kitchen, which was our second room, which was our puzzle. I got stuck on that for a while.
That was hard. That puzzle got hard.
Yes, it did. Trying to think of some of the stuff. So it introduced a new thing. What was it called? Hexadecimals.
Yes.
Introduced the hexadecimals, and
So
that was basically where, what was it? It was like the number 9 counted as number 9, but
Let me get my
after
book.
9 it was like A, B, C.
So hexadecimal is real. None of us have ever had to deal with it, but basically
Mm,
your number, well, maybe you, but your numbers follow regularly until 9. After 9, 10 becomes A, and then 10 through 16, 10 through 15, their proper numbers become A through F. And then what would be 16 if you were counting regularly goes down to 10. It's a base 10 like series. I don't understand it, so I'm not going to try to explain it. I just know how that progresses because I had to-
basically we count in base 10 like 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever.
know
That's base 16.
So wait, where'd you guys end up with the hexa thing? Was that in the second room?
That was in our second room.
That's
honestly though,
interesting.
Yeah.
we
popped
didn't
up
really
for us
have to use it
later.
that much.
No, we really didn't, because the game kind of handed that one to us.
Yeah.
Whereas like the digital route, we had to mess around.
Well,
with a
that
little
exists
bit.
in the entire game.
Yeah.
That's such a prevalent point, which makes sense because the idea is 9, which is a single digit.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I do remember one frustrating part of the kitchen sequence was that there's this group of doors. One door goes to like a cheese cellar sort of thing,
Yeah, it's just like it was just like a huge
Yeah.
cellar pantry.
and
Just
then
had cheese
there's
and
a
opens it.
there was a door on the same wall across the partition that I honestly did not notice it was there. I had no clue it was there, and that was my problem. That's why I was so stuck. Once I found out that door wasn't like just some random door, I was able to blaze through the rest of the kitchen pretty easily.
So the problem with the kitchen is that at one point you get locked in the freezer. This was something that really bothered me. This was really stupid, like to the point where I pointed it out. So you get frozen in the freezer because a pipe bursts and freezes the door shut because the freezer's super cold, obviously. Now I don't think water would freeze that fast, but because it was hot water, I'm not getting into it. So you find dry ice, pork with a note in it. Yeah, you find a few other things, a water bottle.
Chicken.
And what you have to do is you have to use the dry ice to blow open the door. So you have to crush the dry ice. So I'm thinking, because I'm stupid, that you cut up the dry ice with the knife you've been carrying. And then I find out that you crush it with frozen chicken. It did not make any sense. I was legitimately stuck on it for like 10 minutes trying to figure out what the fuck I was supposed to do. Because I'm not gonna think that I have to crush it with chicken. That's weird.
Yeah,
But
it was very weird.
following that, it followed through pretty easily. The rest of the puzzles in it were not hard. But then the Titanic thing comes up again. And the Ice 9 is apparently a substance it's a type of water that doesn't, or it's ice. It does not melt until 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So that plays a lot into the idea of that the Titanic crashed because of a curse, because it had a
What the fuck?
a mummy in a coffin on it.
Yeah,
Wait.
that was a thing.
Wait,
That was a thing.
so you
Say
said
that.
how many degrees Fahrenheit was it?
96.
You know what's wild about that?
What?
There's 9 doors. There's 6 endings. 96.
Bro, shut up.
I
You're
solved the
reading
game.
too deep into
I
it.
solved the
though.
Shut
game,
up.
guys. It's
No,
I
over.
don't
honestly,
think you're digging deep enough.
I
honestly.
hate you both.
I hate both of them too. Vaughn, we're spinning this off. It's just me and you from now on.
Yeah, I'm over this. Sorry.
But so in the kitchen, which was the second room, there were all these different things. Like there was a
I
sink.
hope so. It's a kitchen.
Well, yeah, but like there was a sink that still had water in it and it had dishes in it. There was a grill that somehow still had burning coals.
Oh yeah,
in
that was
it.
weird.
So obviously, after you make the little dry ice bomb and you blow open the door and you have the frozen steak in there or the frozen whatever pork chop that had the note in it, obviously you're like, oh yeah, I should go heat it up. That's probably the best idea. And so there were a bunch of different things. The one thing that bothered me is, well, it didn't really bother me, it was just kind of weird, is the fact that you could always go to the sink and it would immediately hover over the sink like you were looking down on it, but there was never anything in the sink. I thought that before I found out that the extra door was the freezer, there was nothing in the sink, and I kept going to it. I was like, what am I missing? I kept going to the sink. I went to the that little like baking rack thing. Then it just kept telling me that there was just a rolling pin, nothing special. Oh man, I never want to see those words again because it was so frustrating. But
wait,
go ahead.
am I getting this straight? Y'all were talking about curses and mummies and the Titanic and stuff, and we were
Yeah.
playing slots.
So that
Yeah.
was in the first room.
No, it wasn't.
Was it?
That was in the second room because I had that written after hexadecimal.
Oh,
So
was it while you were in like the freezer or not the freezer, the
it was the
cheese
second
area?
part of the kitchen after the freezer. Or no, it might have
Okay.
been in the cheese room. But I
yeah.
know it was after the first room. The first room just briefly touches on the idea that it's the Titanic or similar to the Titanic, I should say. But the one after that, like during the kitchen, it goes deep into the Ice 9 thing. About how the ice doesn't
Yeah.
freeze unless it's 96 degrees.
That's
So
important.
it's still frozen at room temperature. It's a rare occurrence with mummified bodies. And the whole thing with how the ship was carrying a coffin that had a mummy.
The
That
Titanic
yeah. Have you ever heard of that theory that it was hit by a curse?
in real life?
Yeah.
No.
Well, the game touches on it, and it basically says like that there was this mummy, and they preserved her so well that if you opened her sarcophagus or whatever, that she's literally so perfectly preserved that she looked like she had just died like 5
Yeah.
minutes before,
Like
And
she
sh-
was or like still alive.
Huh.
and
like,
that she was like frozen.
That's
And
really weird.
They said
Okay,
that she
then.
never. They carried that. The theory was that they carried her through the desert, but she never thawed out. The ice never melted, and that's what brought up the Ice 9 thing, where
96
it-
degrees?
yeah, it
Yeah.
melts
I
at
think it gets
96.
hotter than that in the
really
desert.
Yeah, I think
weird.
so too. But
That's really, really weird.
but it
And
did
then-
touch
Never
on
come
that,
back
and I
up.
had never heard
Huh.
that. I thought it
The
was
curse
interesting.
comes from if you look at a mummy and it's in its coffin, you die. So like it was the idea was that the captain looked at the mummy.
Huh.
Or
Well, that
That's
something.
comes
really
up
weird.
later.
We didn't go through any of that in our playthrough. It just we were still
Really?
I was still very confused because it touched on nothing. Like we didn't get any of the Titanic stuff. We didn't get any.
Well, we got the
of that.
gigantic. We got that it was
Well, yeah,
called
we
the-
got the
we
gigantic,
were on the
but like in
gigantic.
terms of like the Ice 9 and all that, it didn't
Nothing
get
even
a
close.
shred of that.
It all came from Lotus, so I think she's a bit of a whack. Well, I knew she was a bit of a whack job anyway, but
Yeah.
it all came from Lotus. Lotus was always the one spewing it. And then
Yeah.
because the people that she was with were idiot teenagers, they all played into it.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
Santa, June, and you.
Because it was Santa, June, and Jumpy.
Well,
I'm
Ace.
sure Seven wouldn't have listened to it.
Probably not.
So, following our two respective rooms, we all meet together in the hospital room. I'm positive that our playthroughs are different at this point.
Well, I think they meet back up, and then we do the
They
same
do
thing
not meet back up.
You said
Oh.
you guys met up where? In a
in the hospital.
In the
room, right?
giant infirmary.
Yeah, we
were
meet back in the
there as
hospital. but there's one detail. I don't know if it went through. Did Snake go missing for you
Yes,
guys?
he
too?
did.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
he did.
But that
Okay,
was
never mind.
after, because you meet up in the infirmary and then you have to find, because all the reds are missing from the doors. There are 4
Yeah.
doors.
They're all
3 of
missing
them are
the like the
numbered.
power
The
part or whatever.
electronics.
Yeah. So it was what were the numbers of the doors? It was like
It was door
7.
3, 7, and
4,
8.
3, 7, and
yep.
8. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then an unnamed door.
yeah, and then the unnamed door. So everybody split up from there, and people were walking all around trying to find the missing components for the reds, and they all had an agreed upon, like, what was it, like, hour?
Basically, there were like
something?
100
It was an
doors
hour.
that they could
Yeah.
check. There were like 100 doors. Everybody got like 12 or something like that.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a
And
lot
so,
of rooms.
yeah.
But then your character doesn't like find any, or at least my character didn't find any, and he comes back to find everybody's hovering around one of the reds, and it's working, saying it's vacant, and they're all there. The only one that's missing is Snake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's whenever he went missing for me.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
time he
Yeah.
went missing for us as well.
All right.
And then we have another choice, another door. to go
Yes.
through.
So following Snake going missing, so no, they're left with one problem, which is that with all their numbers, they cannot all go into 2 doors. They cannot break apart into teams that do not leave somebody behind. And the
Mhm.
concept is that if someone gets left behind, that they will not. That basically they're just stuck there.
There's
and the
also
others-
one detail. I think that this is whenever we learned that Clover is Ace's sister.
No, we learned that in the beginning.
Well, that's
Ace's
important for this
sister
because she
or
really
You mean
cares.
Snake?
Or yeah, Snake. My bad.
We learned that in the beginning. They say that they're siblings.
You know what?
Because Jumpy mentioned how it was weird that they were Jumpy was he was like, well, this is like there's obviously like something between you two because you're on top of him.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that matters for me. So
One
going.
thing that they never touched on, or they touched on once at the beginning but never touched on it again, was the fact that they thought, I remember Jumpy saying something about maybe they aren't siblings, and that because they didn't look alike at all, they didn't act alike at all.
Huh.
And
Mhm.
that happened like way in the beginning.
Yeah,
The
that
same
happened
thing
way in the
happened for
beginning.
us.
Yeah, he questioned it,
And then Snake was like, "Well, not everybody looks the same,"
Yeah.
and we didn't have a response.
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like, well,
Another thing I want to touch on, that after Snake went missing and everybody went looking for him, I do want to say, because I definitely I wrote this down because I had something that I thought about it. Whenever I went to look for Snake, I want to say it was near the casino. This is where we actually found out about the casino, that the what's her name, Lotus, was hanging out outside the casino, and for some reason she was trying to convince Jumpy and June to go with just her, so just those 3 made it out.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all
That happened
all
for us,
encountered
too.
that. Yeah, okay.
yeah, we
explored
did encounter
everything.
that as well. Yeah,
That made me a little
Worried.
curious
She gonna
about
backstab everybody.
her. Yeah.
yeah, it made me sussed out. I was like,
Also,
Mhm.
I talked to Clover, and she was super upset about.
yeah,
her.
she got really
She thinks
mad.
that he died. She's like, I know that he died.
Yeah, she's
and
like,
stuff like
don't
that.
talk to me, go
Mhm.
away.
Yeah,
I don't
she was
wanna
really
speak.
aggressive.
She was during like 3/4 of this game. I get
Yeah.
like part of it. She was distraught because she didn't know where her brother was and shit. But oh my god, bad
Yeah.
attitude all the time.
Yeah,
but
for
anyway,
real.
So this comes to the next big
We-
decision.
yep, we're
What do
to
we
the next big
choose?
decision. Door 3, 7.
Vaughn, you go, or actually maybe I'll go first.
Yeah.
I chose door 7, just because. I mean, no other reason than just because I wanted to.
I chose door 8.
Huh. I chose door 7 because I was with 7 already, and I was like, I might as well just stick with him the whole game. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
me too. It was because of the people.
Yeah.
So none of us went through door 3.
No, I
I
want to
went
know
through-
what happened.
I went through door 8 as well.
I don't know
So
if you can go through
are
door
we split
3.
half and half? Are we 2 7s and 2 8s, or are we all
Yes.
eights
I think
except one
so.
7?
I don't think door 3 was a viable option.
It
Yeah,
was.
'cause-
It was.
They
Oh,
they
no, no, no.
produced it as an option.
Hold
You
on,
know, it is an
actually.
option.
I think we
It-
learned something.
We touch on that later after we come out of our respective.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least
Yeah,
my
but
gameplay
so
Well, the
it
thing
was
is,
door
Ace,
7 or door 8.
Ace
And
knocked himself
yeah,
out.
duh. So Ace volunteered to stay behind because removing the 1 was what would allow them to progress.
Mhm.
But since he knocked himself out, there's no
Well,
possible
that's-
combination that anybody could go through door 1 or door
Yeah.
3. So-
Ace volunteered himself to go, to just stay back and wait.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "No, you can't do that. We'll figure it out otherwise." And Ace injected himself with an aesthetic,
Yeah.
sorry,
Mhm.
called
Aesthetic.
Saporil, which would knock him out. So then he would not be able to go. So basically, by making himself dead weight, he forced them to continue, which led to door 7 and door 8. I picked door 8 with Lotus and Clover. I don't remember which one of you guys picked door 8.
Yeah, no, I picked door 8, and I also had Lotus and Clover.
It's so annoying because they both made the same choices except until
Yeah.
probably the end, and we made the same choices until probably the end.
Yeah.
But so
Kinda
Andrew,
interesting.
do you want to tell us about door 7?
I could. Let's
I would
see.
like it.
Maybe Alfredo should, because I'm pretty sure this is around whenever Andrew
Well,
his game ended.
Yeah. Not
Was
yet.
No.
Not yet.
no.
Okay.
Well,
Not yet.
Alfredo introduced their room last time, so.
Okay.
All
Andrew.
right, Andrew.
I'm looking through my notes.
Oh no, Andrew went missing just like Snake. Oh no.
Okay, yeah, I'm Snake
Oh,
and I'm gone.
no.
So let's see.
Except for people who actually cared about us.
So at this point in the game, I was completely done with June because again, I went against her. I was like, I don't want to go with you exactly like that because they had all decided that I was going to go through 8. I was like, no, fuck you. And she was pretty upset with that. And after that, Alfredo, take it away because I don't know where my notes are.
Okay, so what door was it? Door 7, right?
Yes, 7.
Yeah, so we went through door 7, and yeah, it was with Clover and 7. And if I remember right, the first room we ended up in was
The surgery room.
Yeah, it was like an operation room.
Yeah.
So pretty much you go in there. There's like so basically Clover freaks
creepy.
out because she thinks it's a body. She's like, what's going on? It's just like a dummy on there.
On an operating table with
Like an operating table.
blinds
There's
and
a
stuff.
dummy on the main table, and then there's another dummy which has missing parts. And so that's pretty much how the room starts. It's pretty much like
It's really creepy. The idea of
Yeah.
the puzzle is that you collect the missing parts for the second dummy and put them all together.
Yeah, it was a really, really,
Yeah.
really odd room.
And
It
this
was
is also where
definitely
we learned
creepy.
some more information from 7 about some kind of chemical.
Yeah, so pretty much you go through the room and you find the parts, and it's also stuff you have to do with iron, salt, water, dioxide, and some other stuff that I can't pronounce because I am not smart like that. But
I forget what 7 said though exactly.
I won't front, did not know any of that. But pretty much you have to go through the room and you have to read these notes in this science room. And you go through that and you look through all these notes and you have to assign a number to a certain element. Iron was 1, salt was 2, water was 3, carbon
It was-
dioxide was 3.
It went by how many atoms were in the molecule.
Ammonia?
Yeah,
Ammonia was 4, and ethanol was 9. So you would take those numbers, and then there was a box in the middle of the room that you had to open, where you had to enter 3 numbers to unlock it, and that's where you got those other 3 numbers from. So if I remember right, you put those numbers into that box?
Yeah, like
If
the
I
first
remember
3
right.
that it gives you, and then the last 3 that you have to figure out.
Yeah, so you get those, and then I feel like I'm out of order on this Because there was
Uh,
definitely that part where you had to get the bottles, right?
Yeah,
There
I
were
think
these
that's where
two-
you got the bottles from. You got them from that.
So you got them from that room. There was a red bottle and a blue bottle.
Yeah.
And then you still have that thing in the middle on how to unlock it, and you have to figure out how to do that. And then pretty much you open that box. So you do put the numbers in that box. You
Yeah.
open it, and then you get the right arm, and then you get the heart for the other body. And then you go over back to that main room, and then it doesn't let you put them back on the table. It's like, hey, you still have to go find these other
Yeah, you have
parts.
to collect them all
Haha.
at once, which kind of sucks.
It was
And by
kind
the
of
way, that room was just like a separate chemistry room with a bunch of compounds
it
and
was just
stuff.
like-
It was outside of the main room.
yeah, it was really weird. It was
I didn't know
just
that
like,
you
yeah,
could go in there at first. So
yeah. It
I
was
was
it was just like
stuck
out of the
for a
way.
second.
There was like a whole like what's
was
that
back
thing
towards
in
the
hospitals they
entrance.
have like a divider. They had that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
It was weird. There was like one room on the left, one room on the right. It was really weird.
Oh, but actually, well, never mind. It doesn't matter. Keep going. You had to get a key to get in there that you got from cutting open a liver.
yeah. So there was
It's
a
kind of interesting.
head thing on. There was like a bust,
bust,
on a
yeah.
table or something. You have to get a scalpel, so you have to basically look into like all the tools and stuff on the table. You get the one scalpel that's not rusty. You go over to that. You go into the liver. You get the liver out of it, and then you dig into the liver with the scalpel, and you get that key out of that.
Ooh.
Up to
Which
this
was-
point, we hadn't had to combine anything. I don't think yet. So I
You had to
wasn't
combine the
expecting
scalpel and the
that.
liver.
Yeah, that's it.
So you had
and
to
I
put the
wasn't
scalpel
expecting
with the
that. I
liver.
forgot that was a feature.
Yeah, so there's like a combined feature where if you have items that you find, like clues and stuff like that, you can combine them, and that's how you would get stuff out of stuff like that. Like if you had
Not
a
used
liver,
very
and
often.
you have a scalpel, you use that, and you get the key out of that. The thing is, I thought that combined feature was a lot more important than it actually was.
Yeah.
Like when I was in the casino, I would combine cards, and I'm like, it's not working. I can't combine the cards or the music slides or none of that. I was very confused on
See, that's
Why
interesting
would I wanna do
because
that?
we used combine often.
really.
Me and Dalton use combine often. My example is my fuck up with the chicken. So you had to combine the dry ice and the chicken to break it.
Mhm.
So and then you had to combine the dry ice with
A water bottle.
a water
And
bottle and
rope.
then combine the water bottle with water. And then you had to hide in a cellar.
Oh, and then you had to also combine it with a rope.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That didn't make any sense
Fuck.
either.
That's
doesn't make
interesting. We
any
didn't
sense.
combine really anything
Yeah,
at
we
all.
don't.
We
At
ended up
all.
combining a lot.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
use that feature a lot. We just
that
started
one
using
thing.
that feature in this room, which is interesting.
So basically, there's another room that you have to go into on the opposite side from the chemistry room, and there were some lockers in there, and
Mhm.
that's pretty much all that there was of interest. There was also a table with some water and a light that shined through the water,
Mhm.
and a receiver that had 3 different colors on it. So obviously, you had to change the color of the water so the light would change colors.
Mhm.
So you had to change it to blue, red, and purple. I think we
Yep.
can see where this is going. You just dye the water different colors,
This
is
crazy.
and it unlocks all the lockers that are
Is
corresponding colors.
Nothing like that.
it was
And then-
really annoying.
Yeah,
'cause
you get all the body parts out of the
you
lockers.
basically have to get that light to shine through that water, and it has to be that color. You had red and blue, and then I was confused because I didn't know you had to do purple because the locker doors have the colors on them.
Yeah.
So I was confused because I was like, oh, I need another bottle for purple because my I was just really dumb, and I was like, okay, I didn't realize that you could just put those two colors together and get purple. I was like, no, I gotta go find another cup. So
I was confused because
Hey-
at first I didn't know that there was a third room.
Hey, Alfredo,
yeah, what's up?
did you ever take art class in like elementary school?
Honestly, that was the first color I did was red and blue.
Yeah,
purple.
like-
Listen, my memory
But-
lapsed me. I might not be the most proficient person in the arts.
Oh, so you don't know
But-
how primary colors work?
Man, okay. All right. Listen,
Hey
When
Alfredo,
you're-
what 2 colors do you put together to get red?
I'm not going to answer that question. Anyway,
There's no answer.
listen,
Oh,
when you're
man.
grinding through these rooms, You can't focus on. You think so deep in this game that you don't even focus on primary colors like that.
Of
Yeah.
course.
You're
Yeah, you
so-
have to make colors. Why would you think about
Excuse.
primary colors?
Bro, I was so
Excuses.
deep.
That's a waste of time.
No,
He-
I was so deep.
He acts like
I
he's
was-
so involved with the puzzles, like there wasn't 3 hours of dialogue separating every single
Yeah.
puzzle.
No,
You
like
had plenty of time to decompress.
no,
yeah.
I really thought that I had to find another cup. I was that
Wait.
deep where I
Yeah.
overthought everything I
It
was
was too
doing.
much reading. His brain started shutting down.
It was short circuiting. I
Man,
could hear it in
listen.
the Discord.
Listen, I didn't read in school. I don't read in games.
Yeah,
That's
we could
not the
tell.
vibe.
I read the important stuff, and that's it.
But
I
Alright,
can tell you
so
about that.
you
continue with
combine
your-
Oh,
you combine
man.
those liquids, and then those lights would shine on the locker that the color was assigned to. So you get the purple one, and then out of that purple locker, you got the stomach, if I remember right. Yeah, you get the fake stomach for the other part, and then you would pretty much go put that back on the table with that the rest of the parts on there. So you would have two complete mannequins on
Dummies.
the tables,
Yeah.
dummies, yeah, stupids, and
Stupid. It was so
Alfredos.
creepy for me. It was so creepy.
Fredos. Man, don't do me like that. But you
Too
had to
late.
pretty much you had to pretty much figure out what to do because there was a scale on both of those tables.
Didn't
Which
make any
basically-
sense.
It didn't make any sense. You had a file for this room that you got earlier, and it
The
would basically and it would tell you what weight each mannequin was. And then when you would look at the mannequins, you would see that the weight didn't match up to the file that you had. So you had to switch body parts between the two and figure that out. You got that file from one of the dressers
See-
earlier you find in that room.
The reason I just gasped is because I didn't know that the file feature existed until way later in the game, till right before my game
Yeah.
It
ended.
was
So-
introduced in the first puzzle.
Shut up. I didn't know. So I was just randomly like moving parts
Are
back
you
and forth, not
serious?
knowing what the fuck was going on. I was so confused.
That's so funny. I
Like
had the
5
file
minutes.
with me. That's
Dude, I
so
didn't-
funny.
That's
didn't know
like
those
whenever
existed.
whenever he had to do the digital route in the first room, he was saying, "I've just been clicking random ones."
And it worked. It worked. Did it
It
not?
shouldn't have.
Worked faster than Alfredo's.
All right, okay, all right. That's just because I had the numbers reversed. That's just because I had the numbers.
what
reversed,
about
man.
not being able to find the suitcase?
What about
Uh,
not being able to mix
Okay,
colors?
no, stop capping. I found the suitcase. I had the numbers reversed.
I even asked if it was
Listen.
like backwards or if you had them upside down or something.
And
No,
he
they were
probably
backwards.
said no. That's impossible.
He was showing so much frustration. I told him, Alfredo, look at the arrow under the numbers.
Okay,
He
listen.
still didn't
the-
get it.
Quit
no,
right there.
because the thing
Oh
that didn't
my
make sense,
God.
right? I got it with the blue suitcase just fine.
Yeah, so how'd
Perfectly
you
fine.
Fuck it up so bad with the red one. It was your second time doing it.
Listen, my brain hurt. My brain is long.
We
Shangri-La,
ain't even read any
Brockhampton.
dialogue at that
Eh,
point.
okay. Anyway, so
Okay,
the
where
file
were
said
we?
what you needed. So you had to switch the body parts except for the heads. You switch every body part pretty much. One of them's named John. One of them's named Lucy. Switch every body part except for the heart. And then the scale on
said
John's
the head.
table. No, the head and the
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'm just being an asshole.
yeah, the head. I'm pretty sure the head stayed, but you keep the head. You switch every body part except for the heart and the head. So you switch those, and it opens up the scale where John's table is. Like there's like a compartment on it, and then that's where you get the Jupiter key. So we only had one key before that, which was the Venus key. We get the Jupiter key, Jupiter, and then you basically go down to the exit door, and then you go and you can unlock it with that Jupiter key. And you almost get out of the room, and then Clover goes missing all of a sudden, and you're like, yo, what's going on? Where did she go? You go to talk to her, and then if I remember that dialogue right, she was just basically kind of like really sad about Snake, if I remember
She
right.
made you depressed too. She was like, "Oh, Snake's dead, and we're all gonna follow soon."
yeah.
You're like, wait, what the fuck?
Oh
And she
my
was like,
God,
"Sorry,
damn,
forget
bro.
everything I just said."
It's like, yeah, it's like,
When She
sorry.
pulls out the Glock. She's like,
I don't-
"Bap, bap."
I don't have a license in therapy. I cannot help you. Sorry, Clover. It was not the vibe.
And then she was,
I was
just
like,
"Just
damn,
forget
Clover,
about it.
that's so
Nothing
sad."
happened."
I'm sorry about
So,
you, bro,
yeah.
but we gotta get out this room. I'm sorry, bro. We gotta get out this room. But that's basically where that room ends, and we get out of that room after that conversation with Clover,
Okay.
and that's the end of our room.
So Dalton and I had sort of a similar experience. So me and Dalton, we went to the laboratory. Dalton, if you want to talk.
Yeah, okay. So like first off, the first thing I want to say about this is my favorite puzzle out of all of them.
I think me too.
Like the animations were awesome. The
Oh, yes, they
I
were.
disagree.
oh yes, they were. No, the animations were awesome. Just the puzzle sequence was amazing. It had well, I'll get into it, but like basically you go in and it's this it looks like a little laboratory where they had like a giant computer upstairs, and then down some stairs they had a little test room. Whenever
It
you were
was a
talking
laboratory.
about
That's what it's
yeah, a little
called.
laboratory. But whenever you were talking about the dummy, we had one dummy too, and its head was all like connected to some big machine on the wall that also connected through the wall into the computers from the front. And you get to look around the room a little bit, and there are some lockers. There's 9 lockers on the left and 9 lockers on the right. The 9 on the left have a green light, and the ones on the right have a red light. So you have to figure out how to unlock those. But you can go ahead and open one of the lockers. I don't know why there were 9 that were green, because you only got to open one. But still, we were able to open that, and then shortly after that, you look around a little bit, but you talk to Clover. She does the same thing that she did to y'all, where she just kind of is sad. She don't want to talk, but like the only thing that was different, if I remember correctly, was Jumpy kind of like he put her in her place. He was like, "Look, I understand that you're sad, but like we have to get out of this room. We have such limited time," and basically said all that, and then she ends up like pouting and saying like leave me alone, and then runs into where the laboratory is. And whenever she runs into the laboratory, that's what triggers the next puzzle, because
Yeah.
as soon as she runs in, it closes a door right behind her, and
Huh.
you can't open it because it's kind of like one of those like little just like gates, like like a cell door. And your puzzle is to figure out how to unlock that door, because unlocking that door unlocks the exit as well. So not only do you have to look around in that main room, you also have to tell Clover where to go while she's in the lab, so she can give you some clues and give you some different things that she's seeing. And
Yeah, some like items.
yeah, so basically there's like a little computer there that you have. This is my favorite part, was you had to find a connector to actually be able to power the little computer, the small one. And then there's this little puzzle that was like, it was 9 blocks, and I want to say like 3 of the blocks were lit up, and you found a paper somewhere in the room that says like 1, 2, 3, 4. You get 4 chances, or like 4 different times to like tap on different blocks, and you have to get all of the blocks lit up. Have you ever played a game like that? Like it just kind of like some of them are lit up, some of them aren't. Whenever you click one, other ones light up and other ones don't light up.
Yeah.
It's
I understand.
basically that.
So a more complicated Simon Says.
Yeah, kind of.
Let's.
However, what it is you can get the resolution to it
Yeah.
from the room that Clover's inside. You can get her to give it to you.
Yeah. It was very easy to do. So once you do that, then Lotus tells you that she will hack into the computer, and she ends up doing it. And my playthrough, Jumpy ended up insulting her and calling her an old lady or something. She didn't care for that. So she
Yeah, that-
basically
Okay, then.
it was so funny.
Get
But
out
she
of here,
ends up-
boomer.
Yeah, she ends up like sending him away. She's like, go look for other stuff. So you have to talk to Clover. Clover says that there's some like Sharpie that's on some table, and you give her a bottle of like, what was it, like ethanol or something that you found earlier
Yeah, to wipe off.
to wipe it off with a rag, and then she wipes it off and then reads off something to you.
You get the answer for the
Yeah.
puzzle that you have to do.
That's what it was. And then I can't remember what happened after that.
After that, you unlock the other lockers.
That's
And
right.
by unlocking the other lockers, what you're given is, sorry, I had my notes up and I took them down. So
That gives you the little key for the big computer, right?
yeah, that gives you the key, which turns on the big computer, and then the big computer turns on the power to the inside where Clover's locked in. And there's an electrical console there, or like a computer with different sliders to control different like amounts and values and stuff that are connected to the robot's head. It was for human testing, but there was like a robot dummy thing in its place. And then when the power is turned on, what Clover does is she maxes out the voltage, because by turning on the power, you also turn on the emergency system. And she maxes out the voltage, which causes a fire, which causes the emergency system to go off, which means all the locks are disengaged. So Clover's able to get out, and you're able to get out of the room.
And
Was
the
that part of
fire,
the puzzle?
yeah. The
Like that
the
was okay.
I'm pretty sure that was the intention for it.
Yeah.
It never says whether you're supposed to do that or not, but I'm guessing you have to. But I thought that was cool because the dummy is the thing that catches on fire, and it literally, like, you just see it like short circuit and then just fire busts out of its face. It was so goofy looking, because you got to remember, like, this is a pixel game.
Yeah.
So like the animations aren't going to be like top notch, but
It's also
that's
old.
one of the things that I really enjoyed about this game was the animations were really good for a pixelated game.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
like
for sure.
very impressed with like the animation quality.
When it
Absolutely.
did do animations, for sure, they were
Yeah.
pretty good, meaningful.
Really good sprite work. I was really, really impressed by it. Looked really cool.
Yeah. So
Shit was
that
sick.
that brings us to leaving our room, and after we leave that room, there's a big hallway, and that's whenever the entire group meets up again in that hallway
Yeah.
before exiting. Once they exit that hallway, they're put back in the infirmary, right?
Yeah, everybody meets back to the hospital room.
Yeah.
So this is where we get a plot twist. But if anybody has anything they want to say beforehand,
Yeah, I was really upset whenever I had like 15 minutes in that room alone, and then I thought I had said my like final goodbyes to June. No, there
Yeah.
she is 15 minutes later. After I'm done with that
you
one
were really
puzzle.
against
That's-
June.
I'm just
That's
back with
another
it.
thing. I had a side note in here. I will read it exactly as I wrote it. I said, "Side note: fuck this game for making me separate June and Jumpy."
I played into it
pissed.
super hard.
I was
I said-
pissed because like you had to pick door 8 or door 7, and I was sitting there doing the math. I was like, which one lets me go with June? I was like, wait, there's not one that lets me go with June. I was so mad because I honestly thought we were gonna be splitting up for a while. I was like,
Dude,
man, this is gonna suck.
Do you want to know my note?
Fuck June.
I said, bro, stupid June won't leave me the fuck alone. Please insert a feature that would allow me to get a restraining order.
Wow.
Okay,
I was
so
pissed.
yeah, we all
So-
meet back up in the infirmary.
And then we're greeted
Hmm.
with a big plot twist. So there was only one number door that hadn't been entered, and Snake was still missing. I'm sure you can guess what happens,
Yeah.
but they open door 3, which
Also,
is
Ace-
the
Ace
shower
is back
room.
awake.
And if you go inside and you go into the room, you find Snake's exploded body.
Did y'all go in or did someone else go
Dun,
in?
dun,
Somebody
dun.
else went in. Somebody else
Okay,
went in
so-
first for me, and then I went in after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
So so this obviously causes Clover to be distraught, but this also poses the question: who opened the door and pushed Snake into it? Someone
Yeah.
had to. Two other people had to kill Snake because the door won't open unless 3 people scan in.
Something had to happen for
And
sure.
if they don't enter, then the door will close, and even if Snake were to scan himself in on the dead, he would die.
Yeah.
Which he did die. He exploded.
Yeah, really graphic again. It was
Yeah.
I
Those-
made sure to screenshot it and I just sent it
Yeah.
through.
dude.
The
Yeah. I don't
word
know
choice is just incredible.
Oh yes,
Oh,
like
man.
that's another thing I commended this game on. Like they, fantastic writing.
The writing is incredible for it's a good thing to see a plot-driven game have a good plot.
Yes,
And the plot of this game it's a disaster, but it's a cohesive disaster. There's no point where you're like, what the fuck is going on, but not in a
Yeah.
but like what the fuck is going on in a way where you have no idea what the game is like doing.
Also, there was
But-
some interesting dialogue. I
Like,
forgot who
where
said
the-
it, but
The plot twists and
sorry, go
stuff.
ahead.
No,
No,
you're
you
fine.
go ahead.
Continue.
So I forgot who said it, but someone said that like after he knew he was gonna die because he couldn't get to the dead in time, he crawled into the shower so that whenever he died, it
Yeah.
would be out of view
Dude,
for people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that
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 dialogue-
tore me. I was like, oh
oh.
man.
dude,
And
that
another-
dialogue, man.
Yeah. Another thing that we didn't touch on was for my playthrough, it was, I want to say it was 7, Ace, and Clover, right? Would that add up?
7,
Maybe?
Ace, and Clover.
Yeah.
Wait, who?
7, 4, and that'd be
Eight.
3.
Yeah, so that was my group that went in there before I did. Whenever
Mine
They-
too. Mine too.
yeah, whenever they went in, I want to say it was Jumpy, June, and Lotus, and I think Santa. We all went ahead and went up the hall, and we used the remaining like solar system keys that we had, and we were able to find out about 2 different doors. We found out about one that was on A deck, that was the
Door 1. I
number
think, right?
2 door, I think.
2.
It was it was door 1. Yeah, it was door 1. And then down on the bottom floor, it was like E deck or something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
door 6, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
So that was another thing that we found out, because I remember the dialogue whenever we came back from that. It was 7 who was very shaken up, and he was like, where were you guys? And it said something about it looked like they had seen a ghost, and
Yeah.
Clover was even more quiet than usual.
And
Yeah.
at this point, I think you had found every door but the 9 door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So next major decision is door 1, 2, or 6. So I personally picked door 6. I was playing into the June shit again.
Yeah.
So I went with June, Santa, and Ace.
Oh, also there was something interesting about this. Your guy was like trying to skew there was like a vote in place for who gets to go
Yeah.
in the next door. Your
Oh,
guy
yeah.
like kind of chooses whatever he wants pretty much, and you write it down on a paper and submit it to him. He had one in his right hand, one in his left hand, one in his pocket for what door he wanted to go into.
No,
He was
one
gonna
was in the
s-
hat
Or,
or
whatever.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
And the other
rigged
2
it
were in his
basically to
hands.
guarantee he was with June.
Yeah.
So
He just wanted to choose where he went after seeing everybody else.
Yep.
all right. And I think, Andrew, is this around whenever your game ended abruptly?
Pretty freaking soon after. I chose door 1.
I also chose door 1.
I also
get
chose
this-
door 1.
The same
You
ending.
guys are crazy. I chose door 6.
I
I
think
chose
me and
Alright,
door
Alfredo
1.
might have
so-
I
had the
wanted to go
same
with
game.
Clover because I
Let's-
felt bad.
Yeah, let's go ahead. I didn't know if the game would let you, because I was doing the math and I didn't think that it would be possible to go through door 6.
See,
So that's why I went through door 1.
my
Yeah.
reasoning was that I thought if door 1 is on the A deck and that's like the top, where do you think the exit's going to be? It's not going to
That's
be
very true.
underwater.
Wait
Yeah,
a
that's
minute,
what
it's
I
going to be up
assumed.
top.
Does that
Yeah.
mean Alfredo and Andrew have the same ending? Because they picked. The
I
exact
also
same
picked door
path.
1.
Maybe.
But you didn't
might.
pick the same path leading up to this.
That's true.
Alfredo and Andrew had the
So-
same playthrough.
So, Vaughn, since you're the only one who picked door 6, you go ahead and tell us what happened after reaching door 6.
All right. So door 6 Door 6, you go to the steam engine room and the cargo room.
Okay.
Now, these were some of the most annoying puzzles that I dealt with the whole game. The steam engine room is massive. It's 2 floors, and the idea is that you have to get the gears rolling. You have to turn on the steam engine. So first you have to find the coal, you have to enable the coal chute, and then after that you have to fill the steam engine with the coal. Now, this was really fucking hard for me because the place that you fill it did not look like the place you filled it. So I'm looking all over the place after finding these keys and these wheels, and I am having no luck. And then I finally find it clicking on accident. Hang on. Sorry. So I finally find it, and after that it's smooth sailing. And then I got to the cargo room. The cargo room had the most annoying puzzles I had to deal with the entire game. So, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. So, getting into the cargo room, it's pretty simple. It's just cargo. But there's one part that's gated in an electric fence. So, you find cards for each of the characters. All 9 players, characters had a card, and you collected all the cards. After finding all the cards, there was a case with 1 through 9 marked on it, and you put the cards in their respective numbered slots, and it opened, and you got a key. So, or no, you got pins. You got pins for each one. So after going up, after taking the pins, you go up. There's a ladder, and the ladder is so annoying because after at the top of it, you get to a control panel, which you have to turn on. So to turn it on, you have lights 1 through 9, as usual, and you had slots 3 by 3. So each time you had to put in 3 pins to activate a slot. You had to put in the digital root of each respective number in each slot. Hang on, I'm gonna take some water. I keep coughing. So
That's very complicated.
Oh my god, this isn't even the hard part. It's not hard to figure out the digital roots of 1 through 9 and not overlap when you can only do 2 numbers at a time. The problem is after that, to the right side, a shutter opens. It's a 3 by 3 it's a 3 by 3 selection of squares with pinholes, and lines going through the top, middle, and bottom row, the top, middle, and bottom column, and then going through as X's. And what you have to do is listed above it is F, which goes to 15. F equals 15 in hexadecimal. So you have to come up with every possible solution for each number to equal the digital root of 15, which is 6. So, and you have to plug them in so that in any direction you go, it's 6. So the top row had to equal 6, the middle row had to equal 6, the bottom row, the top column, the middle column, the bottom column, and both of the crosses had to equal 6.
How did you do that?
No, thanks.
There's one solution. It took me a very long time to get said solution, but I got it.
That's a whole math quiz. I'm good.
He couldn't even figure out how to make
my-
purple water.
Yeah. And then
Here we
after
go.
that, I wish somebody else had to endure it. After that, there's this thing called the Pushmaster 5000 inside of the what the fuck is it called? Inside of the electric fence.
Mhm.
There's the Pushmaster 5000, and what it does is it pushes crates. So you have a 5x5 grid with unmovable crates in the top left, the bottom left, and the top right, and in the dead center, and 4 crates in the corners around the center crate. It's explaining it's weird. It was a pain in the ass. And I had 50 moves to arrange each movable crate into a row along the side wall. It was terrible. It was unbearable. It was almost as bad as the first one.
Mhm.
After finally finishing it, the point of it is so that you can get into it and have a pathway to a coffin that's there in the top right. And at the end of the pathway, there is you get to the coffin, and the coffin's contents are a key, a rusty key, and a golden revolver.
Mm.
Oh boy.
Gun?
Oh,
So
no.
you
Green
find this
Desert Eagle.
gun, but you're Jumpy being a pussy, he refuses to take the gun, so they leave the gun behind.
Mm.
And
That's
they depart and they go back where they came from, and that's the end of my room.
who else was in there with you?
It was me, Ace, Santa, and June. Oh, and
Mhm.
June got really sick in the coal room, which was weird.
Hmm.
Huh.
Well, she had a history of getting sick during the
Yeah,
whole
she got
game,
sick
like,
often, but
like yeah.
So
Um,
for I guess our playthrough, because we all
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
through door 1, which is kind of
God.
weird. The fact that we all did that was
Yeah, I was
really
hoping
weird.
somebody would go through door 2.
Yeah, no one did. We went through door 1, and that was with Ace and Clover.
Yep.
And basically, you end up in a chart room / wheelhouse, which is
Yeah.
like the maps for the ship. That's where the wheel is and all that. So you start out in there. You're in the chart
Before-
room. There's like a dresser and like a bed and stuff you have to search. You basically have to get a file from tapping on the big like chart on the wall or something like that, and you
The big
also get a
map, you mean?
map. Yeah, you get a map from the dresser, and you have to go look at like you have to get that map, and then it gives you a file about it, and then you find another file to like a bookshelf too that you have to click on that gives you more information about it. And then there's also a middle drawer in that same room where you get a pocket watch. And pretty much you go into it's basically the same room, but it's like 2 halves. So it's one room,
Yeah.
but 2 halves. So you go into the second half of the room, which is the wheelhouse, which is the other side. You see a steering wheel, and then you see this weird compass thing,
Hold
which
on,
is like
you
in front
either.
of it.
I think you skipped something. Something about a dead guy.
No, we haven't reached
What?
that yet.
I think I went through that. I don't know.
No,
Okay, go
No,
ahead.
we haven't
we
reached that
start
yet.
out in the wheel room. Completely ignore what Andrew
I
said.
Yeah.
definitely didn't.
Andrew's an idiot. So yeah, wheel room. I want to say one thing about this. This was probably my least favorite of the puzzles. Not because it was annoying, not because it was hard or anything, but because it was so easy.
Yeah, this was
Everything
a
was
really easy
handed
puzzle.
straight
This
to you.
this puzzle was not a fun one. I liked
No.
Okay. No,
the
I got
doctor
you.
one. I liked all that. I did not like this puzzle. It was
Yeah.
I
really
loved how
easy.
rewarding all the puzzles were. You really felt like if you finished it, you felt like you accomplished it.
Yeah.
and
So
the
if
test.
that didn't happen, I would be pissed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't happen for this room like at all. It kind of sucked. You got a pocket watch, and like you're in a wheelhouse. There's like a boat steering wheel in there,
Let me try.
and then let me try. Let me drive the boat. You pretty much find that, and then you also get these directions from the file you got. And the directions, I have my notes here. It
There was
said,
also. Mm, go
"Okay,
ahead.
yeah, go ahead."
So before this, there was. Did y'all like Ace knocked you out or something like that?
He
there
basically
was a
No.
sharp.
manhandled.
Yeah, he like
kinda-
reached into my pockets and like he grabbed out. He found out that that Jumpy
We-
had created
Mhm.
separate notes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that we like rigged the
Yeah.
selection.
Yeah,
And
he was like,
after
"I don't
that,
really care
like,
about
He was
it."
very okay about it.
After that, my guy was just. He said that he felt a sharp pain in his head and passed out or something. Or he like stopped.
Oh yeah,
don't know.
I do
It
remember
was
that.
really
but
confusing.
I didn't see that as Ace hurting him. I saw that as like he got like a really bad migraine and just straight up
Yeah.
passed
Well, at
out
that
cold.
point, I thought that it was like Ratchet Ace did all that stuff to him. I thought he straight up knocked me out, and I thought he was the bad guy after this.
Yeah.
I never trusted him
Yeah,
since
Ace was
then.
really sus after that. I was like,
Yeah,
huh.
especially since he was like so okay with just
Yeah, I was
staying
like-
behind.
He was okay with staying
Yeah.
behind. He checked your
Yeah.
pockets, and it was like, oh, I'm cool. Yeah, you know
He
what,
found
whatever.
the anesthetic and didn't tell anybody until he
That
took
was
it.
really weird.
Yeah.
Um,
So
And then
there's also one thing that we missed back, like after we found out that that Snake had died, and we were back in the infirmary talking. Everybody was talking about like they thought that Ace or that Zero was one of the people there, so everybody
Yeah.
was super.
yeah, that was a
suspect of
theory
each
that was
other.
going around was that one of the people in the game was Zero.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much what
And
everybody
everyone was
decided
like,
on.
yeah, you can't trust anybody.
yeah.
So after that, I thought that Ace was him.
But then Jumpy kept trying to say it's probably not. He's probably
Yeah.
just somewhere in the boat.
The boat.
But what I do remember is God, that puzzle with the compass. It was so
Dude,
it was
dude,
so
oh, yeah.
boring.
It was so
That's whenever I
boring.
figured out that the
'Cause-
file
'cause
existed.
Basically,
so
what you
lost.
do is you like turn the wheel one way and it points one direction. Then you turn the wheel another way. You have to change it to like 6 different directions.
Yeah, that you
So
get
you're
from that
basically just
map.
turning the wheel back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
So boring.
And then it opens something up where whenever you got that map, that's what tells you what directions you're going,
Mm-hmm.
and it also tells you like fast, slow, stop,
Dead.
full, half, stuff like that.
The reason that this stuff matters is because this was like the original route of the ship or something. Like,
yeah,
the ship is
Yeah.
en route to somewhere from Asia down around Africa and up to
Mhm.
like North
Up-
America and then to Europe,
yeah,
basically.
So,
and you're
you-
recreating that route. Pretty
yeah.
much.
After the compass thing, that's whenever you have to put in, the half, stop, the dead, all that stuff. And whenever you do that, it shows up on timey like how in airports they have, the departing flights and like times and stuff. And somehow they infer that the last one that shows up, which was 310, is what obviously has to be the code for the pocket watch,
Mm-hmm.
because on one door in the wheelhouse there's a cutout that's the same exact size and shape as the pocket watch.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't
So-
work unless it's set to a specific time. I guess.
Exactly. And so basically you just keep tapping on the door until Ace is like, here, let me do that for you. And
Yeah.
he like changes the time, then you set it in the cutout and it opens the door. This door, oh my gosh, threw me for a loop.
Mm.
Cause Vaughn, you said you had another door, right?
Did you have one puzzle, or did you have another puzzle after the room you got out of?
I did 2 rooms.
Okay.
Okay, so we
So-
had a second room after this.
It basically had like Morse code equipment, and then there was
Oh.
one room. I liked the Morse code stuff.
It
I
wasn't
did
bad,
not
but it
like
was
the wheelhouse.
Really weird. The wheelhouse
Yeah.
was not good. My issue with like the second one, it was just weird. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
It also started really kind of shocking. You're like, damn, what the fuck is
Yeah.
going on?
yeah, we find a door that says captain's quarters, and I think Clover or Ace, one of them says something about, "Do you think Zero is behind this door?" He said he
Is
was
he-
the captain of this ship, and so you end up opening the doors to find a dead man, a dead old man wearing a captain's uniform. He's wearing a captain's uniform. I'm gonna send the picture through here because I took pictures throughout this entire sequence. You find the dead man sitting on the floor or laying on the floor in a pool of blood. If you look, he is actually wearing one of the bracelet watches, and it pans over it. It never says it for sure, but the number that is on his bracelet is actually 0. So then it goes into a little bit of dialogue saying, is this 0? is this really like the man who orchestrated this entire thing? And it never confirms it.
Mhm.
And then they're like, if this was Zero, who killed him? It must have been. And then they start thinking maybe it's the same people who killed Snake, and
Yeah.
all this and all that. And basically, the whole time that this guy's dead, you have to you're going around and you're doing the Morse code puzzle.
I
Mhm.
think that I don't think it was Zero because as they were pointing out whenever they were looking through the room, it's deliberately splayed out like that. They could have done tons
Yeah.
of things. They could
Yeah.
have cleaned it up and
The
They
thing
pushed
could
him
have hid
underneath
it
the
under the
bed and
bed.
stuff. Yeah,
The thing I
he's
found
right there
really
deliberately.
weird about the room is that you basically see that dead body when you go in there,
Mhm.
and you do not acknowledge it at all when you're
No,
doing the
You
puzzles.
do not.
Yeah.
Not even once. Like you don't look down on it. You don't see it
Do
in
they
your
move it? I
screen.
think they might shove it
I
underneath
don't
the
No.
bed
No,
because
they
Clover
just
says,
left
"I don't
it,
like
and you
him
don't
being right
even
there."
look at it. You don't even investigate it. It's just off
You
screen.
really you really don't spend too much time in that room either.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know. I
super
spent a lot of
weird.
time.
Really? I
I
spent
couldn't
more
figure out the
time in the
TV puzzle.
actual I spent more time in the actual the Morse code part
Yeah, but
because you had to unlock drawers and stuff. You had to
Mhm.
find different components to basically reassemble the Morse code machine.
Mhm.
Um is that how y'all's was or
Yeah.
So yeah, it basically started the same way. Walk in, dude dead, floor, damn. You
Good
basically
summary.
basically move on. You investigate the room. There's like a this was the communication office, right? Before that.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, before that it was a Morse code puzzle, which is really, really annoying. This puzzle was really annoying. You had to find a music box.
I liked it.
Dude, it was really annoying. You had to get a music box, open the music box with a screwdriver, and take the thing out of it. And then you basically had a cylinder.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you combine stuff in this too.
yeah,
The
and then you
screwdriver
combine
and
the
the
cylinder
music
with
box.
ink to get it covered with ink.
And then you have
And
to like
then
roll it on paper
you
or
have to
something,
roll it on
right?
paper. And then you get it with the Morse code. And then the Morse code, you get it. And it's, what is it, like 35. I don't remember what it was.
It was
some-
so funny how I did this puzzle because I found everything but the screwdriver, and then finally, whenever I found the screwdriver, I was just like, "Oh yeah, combining is a feature" before
Yeah,
doing anything else, and so I
dude.
just started combining stuff.
I
I was like,
was
"Whoa, this
so
is actually working!"
confused. I
And then I
kept
like got the
clicking the
notes and stuff, and I was like,
headphones.
"What the fuck?"
I
I
kept
just
clicking the headphones. That shit was so stupid. I was
yeah, the
just like,
headphones didn't do
bro.
anything.
I was like, all right,
I
thanks.
thought they would, but yeah, I got really
Um,
lucky and got it all done super fast.
Yeah, I
you
didn't
enter.
I didn't struggle too much with that. I actually really enjoyed the code part. Like I've said, I despise the wheelhouse puzzles.
Yeah, Wheelhouse was
God,
good.
Whenever I
it
figured
was
out
very
the
boring.
file existed, it wasn't as bad.
Yeah,
I
I
was
can
like, what the
imagine since you
fuck
went
am
through
I
earlier
supposed to
without it.
do?
But you do the Morse code. You get a key, and then you go into the captain's quarters, which is where we were kind of ahead with the dead captain.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
it was the office first. But you get in there, dead body, floor, damn, part 2. You go in there, and then there's like a camera facing a door with a keypad on it.
Yes.
And then there's a set of TVs behind you with a keyboard in front of it.
And they all were just
Mhm.
security cameras.
Yeah, security cameras. You go over to that, and I think you just press like a random key or whatever, and you see that the camera is linked to one of those security cameras pointing at the door. You're like, oh, okay. And then I think they tap it again,
Yeah.
and then it comes up as ZERO on the screen.
Each individual letter is on each individual screen.
You can kind of
There's
see in the
like 8
background of this
screens.
picture.
Yeah.
Vaughn. Yeah, there's 3 on top, 4 on bottom.
And he's just laughing at you at this point. I feel like at this point, Zero's just in a room just laughing at you so hard.
And
He's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
and I think wasn't the password to the the lock on the door, like the e-lock on the door, it was a hexadecimal.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's where
Yeah.
we used it. So
Yeah.
it was the same thing. You got it basically was it on the computer that gave you the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, whatever.
I don't know.
I had a note from earlier.
Yeah,
guessed it.
so it
I-
was a note. You got a note which basically said 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then it was the same hex thing, and it was this part was so much work. When I tell you I had a notepad open
Oh yeah.
to do all of it,
To count
'cause-
the letters.
yeah, you had to count the letters.
Especially
No,
since
numbers
it
for
was
each
all at
letter.
the end.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't hex. It was base 26. So like
Yeah.
26 letters in the alphabet. They all
Mhm.
represent a number after 10. Oh, it was
Yep.
confusing
Yeah.
as hell.
It was really
But
confusing.
I
Either
guessed it.
way,
I didn't look at the
10
file.
was A, 11 was B, 13 was C,
Mhm.
etc. So you had to do all of that. And then what I just found out just now is that the Morse code basically says 35 equals Z. And I didn't know that. And
Wow, that would have
Oh,
been nice to know.
that would have
Yeah.
been so nice to know because I kept getting the wrong number at the end of it. So
Yeah.
like I
Oh, yeah,
kept
me too.
miscounting. So you basically had to enter whatever numbers you got from that on that keypad. And problem was it was so easy to miscount. I kept getting 36 at the end of it or like miscounting. But you get 0 with those numbers. So Z was 35, E was 14, R was 27, O was 24. So you would put all those numbers into the keypad and you would get out of the room. That camera was just there, kind of. I found that really weird that the camera was just there.
Yeah.
It didn't really serve any purpose. It was just there, like, hey, this links to that.
It didn't like it would have made a little bit more sense if it had pointed towards the dead captain,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but then obviously it would have shown what happened, and this game does not want you to know what happened.
Yeah, it was really weird. So after that, we get out the second room.
Yeah, but another notable thing is in the dialogue, Clover's the last one out of the room.
Mhm.
We have to go
for
back and find her, right?
We have to walk back and find her. And whenever we walk back and find her, she is just now coming out of the room after we had already gotten halfway down the hall.
Mhm.
You go back and find her. She has a bunch of stuff shoved in her pockets. And so Jumpy asks, "What's that? What do you have in your pockets?" And Clover was it's and then just darts, just runs away, which is very sus. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was very very ominous. So after we do all that, that's whenever we get back down to the what
Oh,
was it, like C deck?
Also, whenever she's running away, you like glance and you see that there's like a wooden stick sticking out of her back.
Yes, that is true.
Mhm.
But after all that, that's whenever we get back to C deck, and I think that's when everybody comes back together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, never mind. I don't know if you find what. Never mind.
Actually, wait. You said everybody gets back to? Yeah, that's true. Everybody does
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah,
together.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
So
key.
the
Yeah.
way that ours worked, since we went through door 1, the rest of the people went through door 6, and that's where they found door number 9.
Yeah, so
Um,
I found door number 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever we all met back up, nobody had gone through door number 2. So they ended up sending a group. It was comprised of, what was it, like Santa, Seven, June, and
Clover.
Clover.
Mhm.
And so they go down to door number 2, and then once they go down to door number 2, Ace comes over and grabs Lotus and is like, "Can I speak to you for a second?"
So sus.
Yeah, very sus. And then Jumpy's like, "Why can't you say it in front of me?" And so Ace is like, "Don't worry, I'll talk to you after I talk to her."
I'll show you it
And-
too.
Or I'll show you it too, yeah. And then
Like it says, I have to show you
they
something.
yeah,
Ooh.
they walk away. So before I get to, I'm guessing that's the end for all of ours right
Yeah,
there.
I don't know how you got so many more choices than me.
Because I went through door number 4 probably and
Yeah.
door number
Oh
8.
yeah.
But Vaughn, would you like to go ahead and explain your ending first?
I
Or
think
you want me to
Andrew
finish
should-
ours?
I think Andrew should go first. I do not think you all had the same ending. I think Andrew and Alfredo had the same ending. I think Andrew should go first because he finished first. Then I'll
Yeah.
explain
Well,
mine.
maybe, but
And then-
okay.
I think since
I think
we
we all had
had
the same
right at
ending.
the
I
same
think-
right there.
I think we might have had similar. I don't know. I
Well,
don't think we had
let
the exact
Andrew
same,
tell
but-
it, and then
Okay,
Alfredo if
so-
it's different, and then I'll go, and then unless it's the same for Dalton, then
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
last.
Well, let me think about something real quick. Okay, so actually, up to this point, I think you had a choice whether you wanted to explore door 2 or just keep going with the flow and send just 3 people out of door 9 because that's all they could fit. And I guess that we all chose to explore door 2 because no one objected to that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so basically, June, Clover, Ace, or not Ace, June, Clover, who else did?
June, Clover, Santa, and 7.
Yeah, June, Clover, Santa, and 7 all went down the elevator that they opened with the Jupiter key or some random key. Doesn't really matter.
It was through the elevator, whatever the
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
had to go through for the elevator.
And so they all went down. And yeah, Ace was like, hey, let me show you something. Lotus. And so he left too. So you were just sitting there alone. You kind of like, you're just sitting there for like an hour alone. And then all of a sudden the elevator starts making noise and it comes back up. And all you see on the elevator is Clover, nobody else. And you start getting like super, like, what the fuck? What's up with this? Why are you the only one left? Where's June? Where's everybody else? She's like, do you really want to know? And he's like, yeah, tell me what happened to them. And she pulls out she pulls out an axe covered in blood.
And then she also yeah, this is all the same for all of us, I'm
Yeah.
guessing. Because she then takes out of her pockets all of the different bracelets
Yeah,
that everybody had and just throws them on the floor.
you knew I was about to miss that detail.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you,
Because she threw all those and they were all soaked in blood. And the first one he saw was like number 6 or whatever.
Mhm.
and
saw
so
that it
he
was June.
said, so he says, why did you do that? She said, well, I worked out in my head that it had to be seven and Santa.
And Santa, yeah.
7 and Santa that killed Snake because that's the only combination left that could get into the 3 door.
Yeah.
Was those 3, and so they had to like all open the door, push him in there, and close it pretty much. And so she killed him. He was like, "Well, why'd you have to kill June too? What did she ever do to you?" And she said, "Well, she was getting in the way. She was trying to protect them. She was trying to make peace." And yeah, so then your guy's like going ape shit. He's pretty upset about that. He
basically just like goes numb,
yeah,
like falls to the ground.
he's not doing anything at that point.
No, not at all.
And then,
So do you want to tell it or you want me
Yeah,
to?
y'all could go ahead.
and then Clover puts her hand out for you to grab it, and the dialogue was just really creepy. It was like her face looked like a mask.
Dude.
It looked like stretched human skin. Like
That it wasn't a real smile.
She
it
looked
wasn't
like
a
a
real
demon.
smile. Her eyes were dead and empty. Wasn't the Clover he knew. It was like, oh, she's like, maybe she's not human. And she holds her hand out, and she's like, let's get out of here. Let's leave this ship. And then Junpei's like, huh. And then she
At
was
this
saying
point-
that she can use the bracelets to open door 9, but she also stole the 0 bracelet from the dead man in the thing room.
Yeah.
In the captain's quarters.
So it was
So-
going to be Jumpy, which was number 5, Clover, which is 4, 5 plus 4 is 9, plus 0 is 9.
Yep. So they were just gonna go through door 9, and then her hand is out. And keep in mind, her other hand is like behind her back in this cutscene. And the entire dialogue is like the hand looks so inviting. It looks so soft. And then he
And, like,
reached
making
out.
And hold on, the intense music that kicked up.
Oh my
Yeah.
Oh my god,
You
it
said
was
like maybe she's an
amazing.
angel, maybe she's saving
Yeah.
me or something. And
Dude, the music was like it was very intense. Whew. But continue, Alfredo.
Yeah, it was man. So you reach out to her hand because you're like, I can grab her hand. I can get out of here.
Start a new life.
And she just axes your shit. Just straight up.
Straighten your neck.
You're
Just
kidding.
straight
Yep.
up axes you.
And the dialogue is brutal because it's like,
Yeah, it like goes
Glurp.
one letter at a time, and then
Yeah.
he yells and screams and all that. Falls to the floor, and then it just says like he withered in agony. He screamed until his throat was torn and bloody. And then it basically literally just said there was no more strength in him. He no longer felt pain. He no longer felt anything. Whatever Junpei has been was gone. And then as he was dying, you just see Clover walk off, staring back with the axe in her hand. And she walks off, and it basically just says, your consciousness, like Junpei's consciousness drifted away, and all that was left was a twisted, broken corpse. And the game ends. You do not
it
find
just
out.
says bad end.
Just bad end. You do not find out if Clover got off the shift. You just see her walk off your screen. You don't know if she gets off. There's no closure at all for this ending. It just ends with her axing you and you die.
I think
Man,
that's
if
the
you think
worst
that
ending in
one's
the
bad.
game.
Wait until you hear mine.
And the biggest thing that I also put some questions, which I'll get more in depth whenever
Oh,
we
yeah.
get to the
I-
end.
Yeah,
tons of
we'll
questions.
go into some after game
Yeah,
conversation.
but my thing was like, where did Ace and Lotus go? How come they didn't hear Junpei scream?
Lotus is dead. I don't care what you say. She
It's
got
possible,
murdered.
but like, what
Yeah,
about Ace?
that-
What happened to Ace?
I don't think they explained that either.
Let me show you something. That's the most generic statement. There's nothing there to show her. They haven't
Yeah.
been there before.
Dude, I have no clue.
So,
But what I thought he was gonna do was he was gonna like show her that Jumpy had rigged the thing.
That's what I thought.
That's what yeah. But
Hold on,
go
what
ahead, Vaughn.
numbers?
So my ending was very different. Mine was it was very simple, but it sucked. So we're going through the searching shit at the end. We've already found door 9, and everybody split apart to try and find everybody else. I split apart from June, and I went up the elevator, and she went to like a different room. And I walk around the corner, and I find Lotus's corpse, like dead. This is right off the elevator. I find Lotus dead, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, like what the fuck happened? Like, who killed her? Someone had to kill her. And while I'm looking at it, suddenly a text just pops up. Junpei suddenly felt a sharp pain through his chest. And I'm like, dude, what? There's no way. And then
Wait, what?
And then it says Junpei felt a knife go through his stomach.
Man.
And then he just continued to spew blood. And as he fell to the ground, he turned and he saw someone walking away, but he couldn't make out who. And then it just says bad end.
That
no.
sucks.
That's it. I don't know anything that happened to anybody else. I don't know who killed me. I don't know who.
Hold on, you said that Lotus was sitting there dead. And this
Yeah.
was at the same time that we
Lotus was
died.
leaned up against the wall dead.
This sounds like the timeline is the exact same.
Yeah, it could have been like Ace could have.
Wait, no, it would have to be.
Yeah.
Everybody else would be dead.
What the fuck?
Yo, what the fuck?
So that means
So
like the
Ace
same
was-
thing happened. It's just a different. You chose to go after Ace instead of Clover or something. I don't know.
So he went through that different door, so
Yeah, he
Damn,
went
what the
through
fuck?
exit 6, whereas
So-
we went through exit 1 or door.
So
1.
if you go through door 1, you're guaranteed that ending that you guys got.
Yes. So I want to know what door 2 has behind it.
Because none of us did door 2.
No.
nope.
Well,
Like I said
Huh.
at the beginning, we could always go and we can make a part 2 to this episode, and we can.
well, door 2 was down in the basement, like in the jail room, pretty much. I remember
sure.
because I went down there earlier in the game.
Mm,
Man, that makes me mad just about yours. Like,
Dude,
Yeah.
that
I-
sucks.
I got no information. I literally just it was literally like I was confused and then I was dead. I had
Yeah.
no time for anything. I had no information. Oh, dude, I was
stabbed.
so pissed. And then I
Stabbed in the
was mad. I was even more mad, and then I got really sad.
This game, I think, left us all really emotional.
It was
because we
dude, I
got
was
really
crushed.
attached.
Pure,
I was crushed.
unadulterated agony.
Dude,
Oh
and I
my
had to
god,
wait,
me and
like-
Alfredo because me and Alfredo finished like pretty close to the same time.
and I finished like
Yeah.
6 hours before y'all.
Andrew
And I
finished
finished, like, 2
early,
days after.
and for the rest of the day, Andrew was like silent.
Yeah.
And we like, I didn't think anything of it because I thought he might just not be tired, like talkative that day. And then me and Alfredo go through it that night, and I'm like, dude, I fucking get it, dude. I'm depressed.
And then y'all had to wait 2 days for me to finish it.
Oh my
Oh
god, it
my
was nothing
God.
but pure pain. I couldn't
And
get
then-
out my agony. I was so
God.
upset.
Did you finish it today, Dalton?
No, I finished it yesterday.
Okay.
Dalton went
pain.
through it yesterday. Oh my god.
Which I wish I would have just finished it beforehand because I didn't realize I only had like 5 minutes left until Clover straight up
Yeah.
murked me.
pain.
It was so
uh,
unexpected, and like fucking
dude,
June dies,
what?
dude.
Dude.
Especially for you, Dalton. You were playing into that the entire time.
Yes, I was
See, I don't even know what
trying to-
happened.
Yeah, because you don't know if anybody got off. You don't know who killed you. You don't know what happened to June. But like, I knew what happened to June. I knew I
Yeah.
should have like gone.
We didn't know
with
what happened
June,
to
but,
Ace
like,
and Lotus either on ours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Just
like,
Clover walked off.
but like, man, I was so upset because I sunk so much time and I was so deliberate with all of my choices. And like, I know
Mhm.
everybody else was, but like, y'all picked different choices. And I honestly thought that since we differentiated in the very beginning and all the way up until the end, I thought we were all going to have different
Yeah.
endings. But I guess it's that last door that you go through really makes up a.
Yeah, I feel like those
Yeah.
last sets of
I wonder
doors
what-
really choose.
I wonder what would have happened if you told Clover, no, we're not going through door 2.
I don't think
I
you
don't
had a choice because
Well,
I
she
wrote
said we
down all
should
of my
go.
choices and I didn't
Huh.
see a choice for that.
She
Let me just double check. I could be wrong. I didn't see
then maybe it was just dialogue.
yeah,
Maybe
I think it was
wasn't a choice.
dialogue, but so I guess we've gone through the entire game, said everything that we went through. Anybody want to make any positive remarks, negative remarks that they
Let's
thought?
start with everybody give a rating out of 10. And would you recommend this game to another person?
I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I was very invested with it. The
Yeah.
fact that there's still 5 more endings that I can go and hunt after, I
Yep.
love that. I love being able to hunt after that. And I said halfway through this game, I was already recommending people.
Yeah.
There's actually 7 more endings.
7.
I think there's 6 in total.
So there's an iOS only ending. I don't know what it is, but I know it's an iOS only, so you can get
What
this
the
game on your phone.
fuck?
Ooh,
And then there is
don't tell me that. I have
Oh,
a job.
there's
there's
the
no escape room on the phone, by the way. They take them all out. It's just a visual novel.
oh that's weird.
still awesome.
Well, and then there's the safe ending and the true ending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Safe ending.
Yeah.
Huh.
so we've got some hunting to do. We'll eventually,
I'll be playing
get
it
to
again.
it. Yeah.
I've already
I-
been in the process of
Definitely,
it.
definitely gonna be playing again.
All right.
I have a
Andrew,
question,
out of
though.
10?
Oh, I'd rate it very highly. Probably like 9 out of 10, 8 or 9 for sure.
Okay, yeah.
Some very, very intense plot twists all throughout it. Very surprising stuff. I was thinking that it was just a escape room kind of game. No clue that it was mostly visual novel. I thought it was like 90% escape stuff.
We should have done more research. We would have known
Yeah.
that. But
We just found the game. We're like, yeah, let's play that. Who said we should? You
I think
Dalton?
Dalton.
I did.
Dalton suggested
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to any of that. All I said was that it was a choose your own adventure. So I thought it would be
Yeah.
an interesting thing. I didn't see anything about the visual novel and
Yeah.
escape rooms kind of stuff.
But it's cool because I like these games too.
Yeah.
I just wasn't expecting that, but
Not at all.
definitely very fun.
This is never a game I would pick to play, but I'm very glad I played it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
too.
Especially on
definitely.
DS.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's kind of
Insane.
crazy. Alfredo,
Mhm.
you want to go next?
Yeah, very highly. Probably the same rating. Probably like a 9 out of 10. Probably. It was just insane. It was literally just a ride all the way through. It's not like
Absolutely.
too long. The length feels good. It gets like in your face about shit,
Mhm.
which is what I
Yeah.
really liked about
Like
it.
really quickly too.
Yeah, like shit hits the fan. It's not like something that like I won't lie, the dialogue drags on a bit much.
Yeah.
It's a little draggy.
Yeah, we've
kind
all got
of.
some positives and some negatives. So
Yeah,
we'll get
but
to that.
for the most part, it was just an extremely solid game. Like it was really insane. The fact that this was on a DS, are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Bro.
It
That's,
makes me upset that I didn't play it back whenever I used to like mainly play on my DS.
Yeah, me too.
Like I never branched out. I always stuck with like Pokemon games, and I just like now I'm like, there's so many like hidden gems out there.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot,
that
especially
like
the DS.
they
The
seem
DS
like they
was so
flopped.
DS was
Yeah.
so controlled by like Pokemon and stuff like that.
I would have
Mhm.
never spent $30 on this game ever. I know that
No.
for a fact.
But like after playing it, I could see the appeal of spending $30.
For
I
sure.
would. I
Yeah.
absolutely would. I'd play $30 for that. It has replay value.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, I mean, in the past, I wouldn't have. Like, as a
Oh,
kid
yeah, in
playing
the
on my
past I wouldn't have.
DS, if I saw that cover, I would just, what the fuck is this? Nah,
I try
mom.
not to
give
pay
me, give me
$30 for anything
Pokemon.
now.
This ain't
Yeah.
Heart Gold Soul Silver, fam. What is this?
For
Exactly.
real.
This ain't
So
it.
so Vaughn, what do you give it?
I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. So its pros outweigh its cons, but its cons aren't
Absolutely.
ignorable.
Exactly.
I'll praise it, but I'll also acknowledge the biggest problems. The dialogue in the beginning is too long.
And I
It's
think
Yeah.
we all had that. It's,
it
Yeah.
got to a point where I was, and the text kind of pulls in slow, so I felt like I was
Mhm.
just fucking sitting there for hours,
yeah.
just dragging on. And the story's intriguing, and there were times where I didn't feel like that, but then it would go back to feeling like that. I understand it
had to
can't
take
all be
breaks.
escape rooms, and it is a visual
Mhm.
novel. I didn't know that going into it, so knowing that, my opinion changes about it a little bit. But I would have liked maybe like to change my text speed because I can read
Yeah.
faster than what it loads at.
I
Mhm.
had the exact same thing. I was like in the Pokemon games, you have the option in the settings where you can have the text speed going
Or you could
fast,
just
slow,
press
or
B and it
medium.
would fully load.
That too.
Yeah.
But like that was my biggest problem was the dialogue was very, very drawn out. And especially like you said in the beginning, because you're first getting into the game, you want to know what this game's doing.
And I
You
could
wanna
see
know all
people turning away from it because there was
Yeah.
so much early dialogue. Someone
Yeah.
like a puzzle guy could love it, and he could love story games too. But if he's not playing much, I understand there wasn't
Mhm.
much they could do with the way they wrote it.
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
just liked to be able to get through it faster, even if it
Yes.
meant just increasing the scroll speed or the write
Or
speed or
like
anything
you
like that.
said,
That would have made it huge. But
Yeah.
like I said, the pros outweigh the cons. The puzzles were
Yeah.
difficult, they were challenging, and they were rewarding, which is a huge thing
absolutely.
because it's so easy to make something and not make it rewarding. And I felt like every time I finished a puzzle, I was making huge progression because you only
Yeah.
do like 6 in the entire game.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One con that I had, and this is just me being nitpicky, there were all these different like mechanics for the game, like the hexadecimal, the digital root, the whatever that thing that Lotus was talking about
Oh
whenever
my
we were
god, there was
in
so
that
much
room.
crazy stuff.
And like it was so much. It's like they were trying to throw everything into the game, but at the same time, they didn't make you like remember it. They just kind of handed it to you anyway.
I
You know what I
see.
mean?
I don't see that as a con. I see it as a pro because it makes it more elusive to real life.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I could see
And
that. I
easier
just
to tell
thought
the
that
story.
I
I
thought that
loved
with
To get
like
to the story.
I
with it
loved
being
the extra detail, the extra inclusion of stuff like
Mhm.
the photomorgenic field and stuff like that. I thought that was
Yeah.
awesome because it didn't matter to the game. It wasn't a plot important detail, but it
Yeah.
made it all the more fun because it's ridiculous.
Mhm.
It's absolutely absurd, and it's
Yeah.
awesome.
By the way,
I
Vaughn,
just I just
I've
liked the
okay.
thought of being able to like, if it's a puzzle game and all these puzzles are already challenging, what's adding one more thing? You know what I mean? Like, if they're gonna have it in the game, it would have been nice to, like with the digital roots, it didn't really hand those to you. You still had like the calculator if you needed it.
hmm
It would have been nice to like have needed it for some of the other stuff, but I understand that like they already threw so much into this game that they were probably like, let's throw the players a
Yeah.
little bit
Well,
of like
And also, the focus definitely was not the puzzles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The focus was the plot. It's a visual novel. The fact that we got
Yeah.
plot alone was nice.
Absolutely.
So there w-
Tying in back to like
okay.
the tech speed and all that, I feel like this is one of those games that could really benefit from voice acting.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Without a doubt.
well, from what I've seen, the PC version or whatever of it has voice acting.
Yeah, they did. They
So-
remade it with its sequel for PS4, I think, and
Yeah.
PS Vita. It's also on Steam. If you want to buy this game, $30 on Steam, I think.
telling you right now, buy the game. It's heat.
It's
I don't know
it's
if it probably
100%
goes on
worth it.
sale. It's probably like $4 on Kingwin. That's awesome.
Probably.
But yeah, this
I'll
was
check right now.
one game that I feel like could have benefited a lot from like voice acting. And I mean, you couldn't really do that in a DS game, but I feel like
No.
even little voice clips in there,
Yeah.
could have helped a bit. Like Ace Attorney, for example, does that where they have like voice clips in there. They have the objection voice clip or whatever,
Mhm.
where it's like kind of breaks up the whole monotone.
Or
nothing
just
to-
like heavy grunts or
yeah, like
like
heavy
little
grunts or
sound effects.
something, dude. Like it's just the dialogue just dragged on way too much at times. And if you got like a sound effect or two, it wouldn't feel as bad. But the entire game is music with dialogue that you just read and just did it.
But the music's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Like just,
I like the music.
I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I disagree because the music was really well
Yeah.
written for the
it
parts.
well, I
it was
agree
great.
with that.
But also the entire concept is very solemn. It's very somber. It was something that would make me silent. So playing through it in silence or only with like quiet music in the background, I think portrayed it perfectly.
That's a good point. It
I
does
think-
definitely add to that.
I think
vibe.
this plot would have worked perfectly if they were to take after they released this game, if they were to release like an anime series about it.
Yeah, or
It
the
was
or a
such
movie.
solid plot. Yeah,
Insane.
it's so solid. But Andrew, you were saying something. We've interrupted you a million times. What were you saying?
Well, first of all, I don't think that I can really speak on the voice, like having voice acting or anything, because I don't know these kinds of games at all.
Yeah.
I don't know about most of them. I'm assuming that most of them don't have voice acting or anything.
Well, a novel would be silent,
Yeah,
but I've never played one.
but I
of them,
can't
so-
really. Yeah, I can't talk on that. But there was one of the biggest issues that I had with this game is that
You hated
It-
June.
well, yeah, exactly. It forces some things on you like that, like the relationship between you and June.
Well,
no
it
matter
was
what,
an
it's always
undertone.
See,
They
that was-
weren't gonna
that-
ignore it halfway through the game.
yeah.
that
but
was
like,
a
The
pro
i-
for me.
The
That
idea was to get you to play into it. It's not
Okay,
our fault that you're asexual.
that's not it though.
see that was a
Wow.
pro for me because I was like, the game heavily pushes your opinion.
yeah.
It like it tries. It says, all right, you're gonna like this character.
Mhm.
But the thing
Well,
I liked about it was after it said you're gonna like this character, they're like, oh, dead, or oh, they're a piece of shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the game had such a good like way or a perfected way of introducing these characters as loving and as like people that you would actually favor over others in your group, and then immediately it changes on a dime.
Yep.
Mhm.
perfect
It's just
example
that
is
I wish
Clover
that-
and you guys' ending.
Clover.
Yeah, I know.
exactly.
God damn,
I wish
bro.
that like your guy's just way too nice in my opinion. Like no matter what happens, he has to take everybody's side and he has to like with Clover, she's over there pouting and stuff, and you have to try and comfort her and stuff. I just say leave her. Who cares? Like
Well, you
Let-
have
let-
to get out of the
let her
room, so she
pout.
had to figure it out.
like
Another example was Snake. I honestly, whenever he pulled out the letter at the beginning of the game and he was like reading the stuff from Zero, I thought that maybe he was Zero or maybe he was sent
Yeah,
in by
I thought so
Zero,
for a second too.
and then
I
immediately he's
thought-
like dead.
I thought Snake was
Yeah.
faking being blind, and I
Yeah.
thought he was Zero at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
I won't front. I was like, huh, this is weird. He might he had a letter and all that, and then nope, he dead.
Yeah,
Dead
I
on
don't
the
remember
floor.
this, but for some reason in my note I said I can't find it. Hold on 1 second. So I can keep
biggest pro for
Um,
me, the art style. I know I've said it before, but God, it was gorgeous.
It did
This
look great.
game
especially
was
on a
gorgeous.
DS.
And
Mhm.
like another thing I like wrote down was a very like heavily pixelated game was still able to be dark and gritty and brutal and gory. It was
Mhm.
it
I
was
got
done
chills during one of
fantastically.
the one of the gore parts gave me chills.
I got chills whenever we found the captain.
I never did
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, like man, whew.
so that's a key, that was a key point for me. It's been a very long time, if ever, since I have felt this way about a game where I played
Yeah,
it
I
nonstop,
remember.
where I have been emotionally involved in it, and where the ending, being a not good ending, crushed me. I can't think of times
Absolutely.
like that I felt like that in the past.
Mhm.
So I wrote in my notes that, like an after the fact of my choices, after we went through room 3 and saw that Snake was dead, I said
Mhm.
Snake may be dead in the bathroom, and I just remembered why that was. I couldn't remember earlier, so I didn't mention it. I'm pretty sure that your guy like goes to make sure that that's him and stuff, and like look at his face and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and somebody says no, just let him be or something like that.
The thing that they say to or in mine was that they didn't look at the face or anything, but they saw the clothes, and the clothes looked like Snake's clothes. So Snake could be alive. It could be somebody else.
That's what I was kind of
They
thinking.
could
That's
have.
why I wrote
They
maybe.
could have like it could have been Snake was Zero or was working with Zero. Say Zero was that captain. Zero and Snake were working together, and then they just moved the ninth man's body,
Yeah,
and they give him Snake's clothes, and he changes into something
yeah.
else. Zero does something to piss him off. Snake's the guy who kills Zero.
All I was thinking
And that's
was
so
that the
deep.
entire rest of the game, I was really thorough whenever I had a choice to like go back and check stuff.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe I'll find him here, because I mean
Oh,
that's just asking for like some
also,
extra information later,
I just remembered. I
some
don't
kind of
know
secret or
what room
something.
it was, but I remembered leaving a room in my playthrough, and there was an unopened box or case thing. I can't remember what room it was for the life of me. That really bothered me. It was
Oh,
around
the
the part where
safe, the safe.
it was
Right?
the part where Seven was leaving the doors open to go back.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we didn't see that. We didn't see that at
There
all.
was like an unopened. I think it was a safe. I don't remember
I
if it was
think
in
it
the
was
casino or
might have
not.
been a safe.
But there was something
I
that
don't
was
remember.
unopened, and I thought we were gonna go back to that.
Yeah.
We ended up never going. I never ended up going back to that in my playthrough because we never went back.
Hmm.
So there was
Oh,
something unopened. I couldn't find how to open it in my playthrough. At
speaking of,
least I couldn't. But there was definitely something in a room that I didn't open, and it let me go on without
yeah.
doing that. So maybe I'm assuming that had to do with like you have to go get that and
And
do that for another ending.
speaking of
Yeah.
going back, that's one of the other like small problems that I have with the game. It's not really a problem. It's just one thing that I could choose because there's not much. So every time that you're like walking away from something, you look back and someone's just disappeared, and it's just really annoying because every time that you're walking away from like after finishing a puzzle or something, somebody's not with you,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it just makes everybody in the entire game sketchy.
And
Yeah.
who knows? It could have been like this whole entire conspiracy where like everybody was in on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Clover could have like not killed. Well, I guess she did show the bracelet, so never mind. But either way, like there's tons. That's what I love about this kind of story. It's the same thing as like all these movies that like have suspicious endings that never explain what the ending is. Or like in Pulp Fiction, what
I
was in
like
the
things being left
briefcase,
open to interpretation.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's so many different things that we could say it was. We could say that this was all just one bad dream for Junpei, and then whenever he woke up right whenever he died.
yeah.
There's so many different things that you could do. But I think
Um,
all in all, I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, this
I
was definitely fun.
no, I loved playing this. So it's not available dirt cheap on Kingwin. I checked.
Did you take G2A?
Yeah, I checked them all. It's not cheap. It's still
CDGs.
expensive.
Still worth the money.
But it's
Absolutely.
it's absolutely worth the money. So do you want to start wrapping it up?
I guess we have rambled for what, like 2 hours now?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
over
Yeah,
2
this
hours
game's
deep.
a lot. This
Yeah.
game's a
So
lot.
we picked a
Oops.
really heavy. We picked a really plot heavy game. So there was a lot of explanation. We plan on doing this weekly thing, obviously, with once a month games. We'll go more into that when we're gonna do it. Starts on, I don't remember the exact date. I have it right here. It'll
3
start
weeks.
on. Just kidding. I don't have it right here. That'll start
It's in the
Whenever-
week straight.
Whenever February starts, should be February 8th. No, February 1st. We'll talk about that a little bit. So, overall, 999. 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 from
Yeah.
all of us.
That's
That's
it,
funny.
yeah.
Wow.
That's
that-
four
Nines
nines,
across
so
the
not
board.
3.
Let's go.
Say
Damn, we got-
I mean, Andrews doesn't count.
Yeah,
You're
except
right.
8 or 9.
because his game ended an hour early. So, if you're a fan of visual novels or mystery games or just want to try something new, highly suggest it. You can pick it up pretty cheap on DS. I didn't look at eBay games out of box. They were like $20 on DS on eBay. You can also get it on PS4, PS Vita.
Steve?
Our next game next week, we'll be talking about Sly Cooper 1. So unlike these guys, that franchise is an absolute favorite of mine, but I've only played the second two because I was a kid and I just never got the first one. I'm super excited about it. Probably won't be a 2.5 hour long episode.
Yeah,
where-
definitely not.
Yeah, well, the
Maybe
fact that
45
this game
minutes.
had so much like into it, it was a 9-hour playthrough just for one ending. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And
We-
it's a
we
visual
obviously-
novel. It's not even.
exactly.
I do
we
want to
went
finish
in-
this. Oh, continue.
Yeah, we went in depth with like our stories, and then whenever we all branched off, it kind of just adds more time. But like with a game that's more of a linear story, it'll be
Yeah, it'll be
much easier to get out.
Also, if
I
there's
do want to.
anything that y'all want to like recommend to play.
Yeah, if you
There
have
aren't too many
recommendations.
story games that we know of, so
We've
We're
got a
always
list,
looking
but
for 'em.
we're looking to add to it. There is one thing I want to add. I forgot to. What's really cool about this game is after you get an ending, let's say you don't get the ending you want, you have this thing called Restart with Memories, which allows you to speed through dialogue you've already read and it grays out position or decisions you've already made so that you know which ones you've already made. Can make a very big difference and makes the playthroughs a lot easier. It's like adding frame skip, but it's in the base game. So it adds to the replay value because you get different parts of the story you didn't get on your first playthrough, your second one, and you can get every
Nice.
ending if you want to.
Yep.
It's
So,
got, like we said, it's got tons of replay value. It's got tons of content. It's a fantastic game. I think we brought up maybe 3 bad things about it, but we can sit here and praise the game all night.
I mean, every game's gonna have a con.
Yeah.
It's impossible to make a perfect game, but I'd rather have a game with 3 cons that are minor,
hmm
and the plot makes up for it. The plot and the story are just incredibly well written.
Yeah. It's a
Exactly.
really interesting game. I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it's interesting that we played it in like a group setting. I would honestly kind of suggest that because you kind of get to see the different endings. You kind of get to hear other people's things. And what I noticed is that, like, really quick in the story, you loop around in the map a lot. Like, you'll go in 2 separate paths and then meet at one point and
Yeah.
then go in 2 other paths. That same exact thing happened to all of us during the playthrough,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
which is really crazy to think about.
I like that like it was 4 of us. We were able to, some of us would split off, and yeah, a lot of the times it was half and half. I mean, there weren't too many options, so like obviously
Yeah.
there's gonna be some overlap, but you still 2 people that listen to this, you still see the difference that Vaughn got one ending, and me and him picked most of the same decisions until the very end.
That's-
And then
were
me, Alfredo,
drastically
yeah,
different.
and me, Alfredo, and Andrew all got the same with very different
Decisions.
choices. So
Yeah.
it's very interesting, and if you play it in like a group setting, like Alfredo was saying, it'll be
can
fun
make-
to hear what everybody says.
It can make its appeal go up a lot
Yes.
higher, especially if you do something miserable like we did where we couldn't talk about it.
Yeah,
There were a few times where I was considering just saying "fuck it," I don't want to do it anymore.
Despair.
yeah.
Anyway, so wrapping it out, 1 game, 7 days. We play 1 game for a week, talk about it at the end of the week. Don't talk about it at all beforehand. I'm Vaughn.
Andrew.
I'm Dalton.
And I'm Alfredo.
That's the next week we got Sly Cooper, personal favorite. I'm excited.
Classic.
Hoping to we're gonna do this weekly. That's it.
Any
man.
recommendations? Like we said, we're always looking to add more to our list.
Throw them below. Thank you.